Chapter 100. After entering the Mingyue sector, Luo Feng directly opened the letter. Even though this letter was written by his brother's girlfriend, Zhen Nan, Luo Feng didn't feel safe showing it to his brother. Keep in mind that his brother just committed suicide yesterday, so his emotions aren't stable. If there's something stimulating in the letter, it might cause his brother to lose control even more. Luo Feng didn't dare to take the risk. I want to see what's written. Luo Feng had a bit of anger on his face as he opened the letter. As he read, Luo Feng's expression slowly relaxed. Sigh. Luo Feng shook his head. Brother didn't choose the wrong person. From this letter, Luo Feng found out that Nan's parents talked to Luo Hua behind Nan's back. Nan didn't even know that her parents already knew about her relationship with Luo Hua. She only found out about Luo Hua's suicide yesterday when she heard about it. Nan almost fainted when she heard the news. Her parents wouldn't let her see Luo Hua no matter how much she cried. After that, Nan threatened to kill herself and said that this was the last time she'll see Luo Hua. Only then did her parents agree. However, Nan couldn't get through to Luo Hua at the entrance of the Mingyue sector. Since she couldn't see Luo Hua, she had no choice but to write a letter and ask someone to pass it to him. Move the relationship underground? Hide it from her parents? And they'll get married after graduation? Luo Feng looked at the letter and sighed to himself. He could tell that Nan was very stubborn and clearly wasn't convinced by her parents. Mingyue Sector's number 199 villa, which is Luo Feng's home. The atmosphere was a bit heavy. His father, Luo Hongguo, was sitting on the sofa in the living room. In just one night, he seemed to have aged a bit. Dad, a voice carried from outside. Feng. Luo Hongguo stood up. Luo Hongguo stood up. At this time, Luo Feng walked in from outside. Luo Hongguo said quietly, "Your mom is currently in the room with your brother. Your brother's emotions have stabilized a bit. However, no matter how we talk to him, he won't make a sound." I understand. Luo Feng took in a deep breath and walked towards his brother's room. Creak. After opening the door, his mother, Gong Xianlan, raised her head and saw Luo Feng. She couldn't help but to stand up. "Feng, Mom, you go rest first," said Luo Feng. Gong Xianlan looked at her son Luo Hua, who was sitting on the balcony, not making a sound. She shook her head and left the house. "Brother, you're really..." Luo Feng realized that his brother's face was much paler than before. He didn't say anything and just stared outside through the window like a fool. Who knows what he was thinking? "Luo Hua!" Luo Feng shouted. Luo Hua sat motionlessly in his wheelchair, as if he didn't hear Luo Feng's voice. "Luo Hua, I promise you, you'll definitely be able to marry Nan," Luo Feng said another sentence. Luo Hua, who was in the wheelchair, trembled. He finally slowly turned his head towards Luo Feng and let out a bitter smile. He shook his head and said softly, "Bro, don't say any more. It's useless. I don't have a future with Xiao Nan, and I've already given up. I will never marry another woman in my life. Not in this lifetime. I'm not worthy either." "What nonsense are you saying?" Luo Feng frowned and scolded. "Nonsense?" Luo Hua's emotions suddenly became agitated. "Am I wrong? Do you think I, a cripple with broken legs, want to marry Nan? Yeah, Nan is willing to be my wife. But what about in the future? In the future, people will point at Nan and say that her husband is a cripple. How will Nan's relatives and friends look at her? I'm a cripple. Just a cripple. If she marries me, Nan and her parents won't have the face to see their relatives and friends. They'll also point at us. Even if I have money, others will think that Nan married a cripple for money." Luo Hua shook his head. "I don't want to. Nan is such a good girl. I don't want her to be pointed at and looked down upon in the future. I don't want to hurt her. I'll hurt whoever I marry, so I might as well not marry in my life. I'm a cripple. Why would I even think about a girlfriend or marriage?" Luo Hua let out a smile that carried a hint of insanity. But a loud slap landed on Luo Hua's face. Luo Hua couldn't help but to shake and almost fall off his wheelchair. Blood flowed out of the corner of Luo Hua's mouth. Brother Luo Hua froze. It's been so many years. Ever since he was young, Luo Feng has never hit him. Coward! Luo Feng's face was ugly. There are plenty of people with a strong will and a handicapped body that can shock people. Even our Jiangnan headquarter city's war god, Yu Yang, lost both of his arms since he was young. However, he relied on his 2 legs and earned his name, Gigantic Axe Yu Yang. His legs are comparable to gigantic axes. There are many similar examples in the circle of fighters, not to mention the circle of regular people. Luo Hua's face changed again and again as Luo Feng said this. Of course Luo Hua knows about the cases of the handicapped body. Ever since he was young, he's seen way too many of them. He can name over 100 of them in one breath. This is a letter from your girlfriend. Take a look. Luo Feng handed the letter over. Luo Hua took it hesitantly and started reading. His face started changing. Marriage. Nan is a good girl, very good. Being able to be with her is something I've always dreamed of. However, I don't want people to talk behind her back. Really, I don't want that. Luo Hua put down the letter. He couldn't help but to tear up and drip onto the letter. Luo Hua raised his head and looked towards Luo Feng. Brother, as long as I can secretly watch Nan live a good life, that's enough. You being with her, that's what's best for both of you. Luo Feng roared. But Luo Hua couldn't help but to touch his legs, but they were already broken from the thighs down. Come with me. Luo Feng pushed the wheelchair out of the room. Feng, Luo Hongguo and Gong Xianlan, who were outside the room, were shocked. I need to talk to Luo Hua about something. Luo Feng used a bit of force with his hands and lifted his brother's wheelchair horizontally. He then swiftly brought his brother to the audio room on the 2nd floor. In the audio room, Brother Luo Hua looked towards Luo Feng. Look at the screen, Luo Feng commanded. Turn on. Beep beep, the projector swiftly shot out light onto the screen on the wall. Luo Feng sat on the sofa and tapped on the wireless keyboard as he entered the warlord-level discussion forum of the Home of Limit. He also entered the words Elixir of Life and searched for posts. Very few people discuss the Elixir of Life in the discussion forum. Because this thing is way too rare, almost no warlord-level fighter can get their hands on it, so naturally, there's very little information about it. However, there were still around a dozen related posts. Luo Feng directly opened one of the posts. Luo Feng had already seen these posts before, so of course he had to gather information about the Elixir of Life. This is... Luo Hua froze. Look at this post and finish reading it, said Luo Feng coldly. Luo Hua turned his head and looked. This post about the Elixir of Life wasn't long, but it did mention some of the precious materials needed for the Elixir of Life and its effect. Of course, it also mentioned the price from the last auction. This Elixir of Life is extremely rare and has a price but no market. Most of the time, it only appears in an auction. The soul of an existence surpassing the Horde leader level, the SS Emperor level monster Earth Dragon King, as the main material, can regrow limbs and legs? As long as they're not dead, they can regrow no matter how crippled they are? Luo Hua was completely stunned by the post's description. At the same time, his eyes were flashing. It doesn't matter if it's the materials. It's the effects. A price but no market? The most recent Elixir of Life sold for an astronomical price of 30 billion Chinese dollars? Luo Hua, who was extremely excited, felt as if a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. 30 billion? Luo Hua specialized in investing in stock. He was quite clear about the financial industry, so he knew that 30 billion Chinese dollars was a huge amount of money. See that? Even though your leg is broken, as long as you use the Elixir of Life, it can grow back. When that time comes, you can stand up and confidently stand in front of Nan and her parents. Standing in front of Nan's parents, Luo Feng said, but Luo Hua shook his head. Bro, 30 billion inch, yeah, there's a super rich person in China with assets of close to 100 billion. However, that's just the price of his shares. First of all, his shares are limited, so he doesn't have the right to sell them all. Second of all, even if he does have the right to sell them, he'll be lucky if he can sell them for 40 to 50 billion. Luo Hua shook his head. 30 billion in cash. In the entire country of China, very few people can take out that much cash. Luo Feng took out his cell phone from his pocket and started entering his anonymous account at the Swiss International Bank. In just a moment, the account was already entered. Bro, what are you doing? Luo Hua looked towards Luo Feng with a confused expression. Take a look, Luo Feng handed the cell phone over. Luo Hua was confused. Why did his brother want him to look at his cell phone at a time like this? He lowered his head and looked at the screen. The amount of money was clearly displayed on the screen. 1 0, 2 zeros, 3 zeros. Luo Hua stared blankly at the number 28,800,000,000. 8 billion. Luo Hua raised his head and looked towards Luo Feng in shock. His brother just became a fighter not too long ago, so how did he get so much money? This is definitely a shocking amount of money. What he didn't know was that Luo Feng took a huge risk to get this money and almost lost his life. And he only got it because of his spirit reader skills. Luo Hua, said Luo Feng. Luo Hua stared blankly at his brother, not knowing what to say. I just want to tell you that your brother has the ability to buy an elixir of life. Luo Feng looked at his brother seriously, and you will definitely stand up again. Luo Hua's body slightly trembled. He wasn't an idiot. His brother Luo Feng definitely took a huge risk to get 8 billion. After all, there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Obtaining such a huge amount of money definitely comes with a huge amount of risk. And all of this, his brother unknowingly did it for him. Bro! Luo Hua hugged Luo Feng and couldn't help but to cry. Luo Feng lightly patted his brother's back. After a while, Luo Hua, you're very smart, smarter than me, Luo Feng said seriously. You should know that such a huge amount of money will bring about a lot of trouble. So, you're not allowed to say a single word about this to anyone else, including mom and dad and even your girlfriend. Once you say it, your brother might lose his life because of this. Luo Hua was shocked. I won't say it even if I die. Bro, I don't want you to risk. Don't worry, smiled Luo Feng. He only said those words to let Luo Hua know the seriousness of this matter. Actually, the two advanced level war god couple, Vulture and Scorpion, won't be able to find out where this money came from. Even if his brother stupidly says it, how many people will believe him? Luo Hua, I said that I'll let you confidently stand in front of that Lady Nan and her parents. I'll do what I say, said Luo Feng softly. Okay, Luo Hua heavily nodded. He knew that he probably won't be able to forget the astronomical amount of money his brother showed him in this listening room. And he won't forget the promise his brother gave him. Chapter 101. Let's go, let's eat breakfast with mom and dad, smiled Luo Feng. Okay, Luo Hua's entire being was different now. Before, he felt like life was hopeless and living was worse than death. However, after seeing the effects of the elixir of life, and the gigantic amount of money on Luo Feng's cell phone, Luo Hua was filled with energy. Pushing the wheelchair, Luo Feng brought his brother downstairs. Father Luo Hongguo and Mother Gong Xian Lan sat on the sofa without saying a word. From yesterday to today, one day has dealt a huge blow to the two of them. Their son actually jumped into the lake to commit suicide, and he's so depressed and unstable right now. What should we do? Just what should we do? The two of them didn't know what to do. Breakfast was already prepared in the kitchen, but neither of them was in the mood to eat. Suddenly, Dad, Mom! Luo Feng pushed the wheelchair and brought his brother downstairs. He smiled as he yelled, Where's breakfast? Let's eat breakfast together. Breakfast? Luo Hongguo and Gong Xian Lan both stood up. Luo Hua also smiled. Dad, Mom, I'm hungry. Luo Hongguo and Gong Xianlan looked at their son Luohua as if they were looking at a monster. Then they suddenly came to their senses. Luo Hongguo immediately said, "Hungry is good, hungry is good. Quick, get breakfast." "Mom Chin," yelled Gong Xianlan as she rushed into the kitchen. Father Luo Hongguo also ran into the kitchen. The entire house was filled with energy and no longer had any of the pressure from before. Luo Feng looked at this scene and laughed. "We've passed this hurdle, especially when my brother's legs grow out and he can stand up. Our family will definitely be happier. Why did he take the risk to steal the dragon egg? Wasn't it so that he could get enough money to buy the elixir of life for his brother? The heavens were also helping him. When he stole the dragon egg, he also got a set of war god equipment, which allowed him to get almost 30 billion. Jiangnan Headquarter City, Main Sector. In the Jiangnan Mountain Water Sector, in the living room of a luxurious mountaintop villa on one of the mountains, Hua Yao Peak, the advanced level war god Vanina Paulinus, who was known as Scorpion in the fighter community, was currently sitting on the sofa with a cold expression. Beside her, the expressionless vulture Li Yao stood there like a saber. "What's the result?" Li Yao asked coldly. In the living room, a middle-aged butler in a black suit said respectfully, "Sir, madam. Out of the 506 targets, after a few days of investigation, we've picked out 12 people with the highest possibility of being the target. But for these 12 people, even though we have been tracking and investigating them one by one, we still don't have enough evidence to identify someone." "In other words, you still can't name a target?" The killing intent in Li Yao's eyes soared. "Who?" The black-suited butler felt as if he was being stared at by an enormous monster. He couldn't help but hold his breath as he respectfully said, "Of the 506 people, in terms of motive, some of them have been oppressed by the HR Alliance. Perhaps they want to take revenge on the HR Alliance, so they attacked young Master. There were also people who had a grudge against the young Master's bodyguard, Kalong. There were also people who had a grudge against the young Master's bodyguard, Panya, and the Tiger Fong squad. In terms of motive, it could be found that all 26 of them had a motive. But these motives are all very small. As long as their brains aren't damaged, they won't go as far as to kill young Master. Trash. Those who had a grudge against Ah Wei's bodyguard killed Ah Wei? And that Tiger Fong squad? What kind of bullshit squad is that? What kind of enemies could they provoke?" Li Yao berated, "Remember the person who killed Ah Wei. The person who was able to instantly kill 2 advanced level warlords and 2 intermediate level warlords, and the 4 of them didn't even have time to send a message back." "Yes," the butler respectfully replied. "Remember, this killer's strength is very strong. At most, he's hiding his battle record. To be able to instantly kill 2 advanced level warlords, with such strength, his age should be above 25. Li Yao ordered, "Of the targets we're investigating, apart from the dead, many of the 506 people who are still alive are very young. Their strength is very weak. Some of them even just passed the fighter combat exam. Could it be that these little fellows have the ability to instantly kill 2 advanced level warlords?" "Sir is correct," the butler respectfully replied. Li Yao coldly ordered, "Carefully investigate their past achievements. Find out who is more likely to be a hidden expert. If you think it's possible, investigate it for me." "Understood." The butler didn't dare to say anything more. "Okay. If there's even the slightest hint of a war god level fighter, or if there's a possibility that they're a spirit reader, increase the intensity of the investigation." Li Yao coldly said, "Of course, investigate the important targets, but also those that aren't very likely. Keep an eye on them and record all sorts of things, from their bank account, their battle record in the wilderness, their family and friends, etc. Record everything." "Yes," the butler respectfully replied. "You've been with me for so many years. I don't want you to slack off on this matter. Understood?" Li Yao's voice was low and contained killing intent. Beads of sweat appeared on the butler's forehead. Understood. Of course he knew how strong this male master was. You have to know that even poison scorpion Vanina Paulinus, the daughter of the Paulinus family, was an advanced level war god. With her status, she would normally lower her head when facing Li Yao. Go. Li Yao waved his hand. The butler quickly left. After the butler left, only Li Yao and Vanina Paulinus were left in the living room. Yao, if the culprit really wanted to kill our son, he probably wouldn't have brought his tactical communications watch. Vanina awkwardly spoke in Chinese. This means that out of the 506 targets, none of them are the culprit. I know that's a possibility. Li Yao coldly said, however, we definitely can't let go of any chance. If it wasn't for the fact that there were too many people, I would rather kill 1,000 than let one go. Li Yao's eyes flashed coldly. This time, there were more than 500 people involved. The Dojo of Limits, the Thunder Dojo, the government's army, etc. Plus, these people were all around the headquarters city, and some would occasionally enter the headquarters city. That's why he didn't dare to kill them all. If it was only a few dozen people, he would still dare to do it. Yao, who do you think did it? Vanina frowned. Globally, there are no less than 10 advanced level war gods that have a grudge against me. Back then, in order to let you become the CEO of the HR Alliance, the two of us also offended quite a few people. Luckily, I entered the archaeological ruins and successfully came out. That's why those monsters didn't dare to make a move. Li Yao coldly said, don't let me find out who killed Wei, or else. Actually, in the eyes of these two powerful fighters, Vanina and Li Yao, the most likely culprit is one of their war god enemies. However, Li Yao and Vanina won't give up on investigating the 506 target. Yangzhou City, Mingyue Sector. Luo Feng, on the other hand, was quite relaxed. He spent some time chatting with the fighters in the Dojo of Limits, but he spent most of his time training the 9-stage Thunderblade by himself. Hello, Captain Dojo of Limits, in the reaction speed test room. Luo Feng walked to the side and picked up his cell phone. Oh, you guys are preparing to go to the wilderness on March 1st after the New Year? Sure, I'm fine with it. I also want to stay at home for a few days and peacefully live for 2 months. I'll also train my blade technique a bit more. Yup, sure, I'll go to the wilderness after the New Year. You guys know about my brother's situation? This news really spread fast. I can't help it, there's nothing I can do when something like this happens. But thankfully, my brother has already adjusted himself. Yup, I'm training my technique. Sure, talk to you later. Luo Feng hung up his cell phone and placed it in the corner. After that, he walked towards the reaction speed test machine. Even though it's called a test machine, Luo Feng is actually treating it as a training machine. Intermediate Warlord Level Test, Time Limit. 10 minutes, Luo Feng adjusted the reaction speed test machine's time limit. This is the maximum amount of time it can last. Actually, being shot by a large amount of rubber bullets can indeed train a person's dodging ability. Luo Feng really likes to come here to train. With a body full of sweat, Luo Feng put his cell phone and some other items into his pocket. I've been in the wilderness for around a month now. Most of the time, I've been absorbing genetic energy to strengthen my body. Right now, I'm not too far away from the beginner-level warlord fitness level. I'll work hard and see how much I can improve in these 2 months. Time passed day by day. On New Year's Eve, Luo Feng and his family happily watched the Chinese New Year Gala. During the next few days of Chinese New Year, Luo Feng and his family also went to a gathering with some friends. As for his relatives, Luo Feng doesn't really have any relatives, because his parents were orphans after the Grand Nirvana period. During the Grand Nirvana period, many families were destroyed and there were many orphans. February 26th, morning. Luo Feng, who was wearing a white dojo uniform, smiled as he walked towards the limit hall. Crazy, going to the limit hall so early in the morning? laughed a big bearded brute. I'll be going to the wilderness in 2 days, so I have to make a last-minute effort and train well, laughed Luo Feng. The big bearded brute glared. F***ck, crazy, don't say such annoying things. I was there when you took the prospective fighter exam, and in the blink of an eye you're already stronger than me, Luo Feng laughed. The waves behind drive on the waves before, so of course each generation will be stronger than the last. Go go go, stop making me angry, laughed the big bearded brute. Luo Feng also entered the limit hall, and came to the 6th floor. There aren't many people in the limit hall in the morning, so today was just as empty as usual. If Luo Feng didn't want to test out his recent results, he wouldn't have come here so early. Last time, on December 1st, my test result was a speed of 78.6 meters per second and a fist strength of 6,121 kilograms. When I explode out, I can reach almost 13,000 kilograms. Reaction speed test, beginner level, warlord level, excellent. Luo Feng slightly moved his body. Now it's February 26th. After almost 3 months, I wonder what level my fitness level has reached. Chapter 102. 6th floor of the limit hall, in the empty training hall. Luo Feng turned on the fist strength tester and the screen lit up. I won't use the 9-stage Thunderblade for now and use normal force. Luo Feng slightly adjusted his breathing. After that, his entire body was like a gorilla that was charging forward. His entire right shoulder and right arm carried an aura of charging forward, and his fist drew an arc through the air. Pung! A low and deep sound, like that of a drum being struck, rang out. The fist strength testing machine's display screen immediately displayed a row of numbers. 9,981 kilograms. Oh, this much. Luo Feng looked at this number and couldn't help but to let out a happy smile. Last time it was 6,121 kilograms. I've increased by 3,000 kilograms in these 3 months. Actually, this number was within Luo Feng's expectations. Under normal circumstances, training after a life-or-death battle increases one's strength even faster. So Luo Feng improved a lot in the month he spent in number 003 city. After returning home for nearly 2 months, he just finished the 3rd stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade, causing Luo Feng's improvement to be much faster than before. After 3 months, his strength only increased by this much. According to my body fitness level, 4,000 kilograms. 8,000 kilograms, my fist strength is in the advanced level warrior level. And 8,000 kilograms. 16,000 kilograms, that's the beginner level warlord level. In other words, right now, my body fitness level is comparable to a beginner level warlord. Luo Feng smiled and once again gathered his strength. This time, Luo Feng was preparing to use the 9-stage Thunderblade's technique. Unfortunately, even though he bought the first 4 stages of the 9-stage Thunderblade in these 2 months, Luo Feng couldn't master the 4th stage, no matter how much he trained. At most, he could control his entire body's strength more precisely. Luo Feng roared and his breath shot out of his mouth like an arrow. As he roared, Luo Feng's right arm instantly streaked across the air. And in that short moment it actually sped up and broke through the speed of sound, creating a horrifying sonic boom. That heavy, hammer-like fist directly smashed onto the fist strength tester. Rumble, the fist strength tester fiercely shook, fell backwards and then bounced back up. Nice. Luo Feng looked at the display. The display screen paused for a moment before a line of numbers appeared. 28,081 kilograms. According to 9,981 kilograms, multiplied by 2. 8, it should be around. Luo Feng calculated in his mind. It should be around 27,947 kilograms. I hit 28,000 kilograms. Not bad. Luo Feng was very satisfied with this number. 28,000 kilograms of fist strength was extremely terrifying. That was 28 tons of punching force. A truck only weighed a few tons, so one could imagine how heavy this punch was. According to the physical fitness data, 16,000 to 32,000 kilograms belonged to the intermediate warlord level. However, he was also an intermediate warlord, and he barely reached the bottom line of 16,000 kilograms. There was still a huge difference in strength between him and a senior intermediate warlord. If Luo Feng swung his blade now, he would be considered powerful even amongst intermediate-level warlords. Director Wu Tong of the Limit Hall. As the director, he often came to the Limit Hall. Sonic boom. Wu Tong was in a quiet room on the 5th floor. When he suddenly heard the sonic boom from the 6th floor, he jumped in shock. Which expert managed to create such a sonic boom? Wu Tong swiftly turned into a blur and directly rushed up the stairs to the 6th floor. The training hall on the 6th floor was empty except for one person, Luo Feng. At this time, Luo Feng was still in front of the fist strength tester machine, thinking about his current level of strength. Luo Feng turned his head to look. Uncle Wu, F***ck you punk, you made the sonic boom? Let me see how heavy your punch is. Wu Tong was extremely shocked as he walked towards Luo Feng. However, when his gaze landed on the screen of the fist strength tester, he couldn't help but to freeze when he saw this number, 28,081 kilograms? Wu Tong couldn't help but to stare at Luo Feng, as if Luo Feng had transformed into a monster. You made this? Who else could it be? Luo Feng laughed. But my body fitness level isn't this high, it's the 9-stage Thunderblade? Wu Tong immediately guessed it. He already knew that Luo Feng bought the 9-stage Thunderblade instruction manual. However, even though many powerful fighters in the world have the money to buy this instruction manual, many people can't even get started. Even if you're training the 9-stage Thunderblade, it shouldn't be this ridiculous. What's your normal fist strength now? What stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade are you at? Wu Tong asked. Luo Feng laughed as he replied. My normal fist strength is around 10,000 kilograms. I've trained the 9-stage Thunderblade to the 3rd stage. I haven't been able to grasp the 4th stage, no matter how much I train. Luo Feng didn't plan on hiding his speed of training the 9-stage Thunderblade. His strength will definitely attract some people's attention. It's good to show some of his strengths. As for his identity as a spirit reader, Luo Feng won't reveal it. The vulture-scorpion couple wasn't the only ones who were looking for the culprit. Actually, Luo Feng didn't want to reveal his identity as a spirit reader before this astronomical bounty incident. Because fighters are rare on Earth, and spirit readers are even rarer than fighters. Every spirit reader can cause a lot of things. Abnormal. You're too abnormal. You're simply a monster. Wu Tong couldn't help but to hit Luo Feng's chest. I already knew that your talent wasn't bad. After all, you were recruited by the Dojo of Limits ahead of time. But I wasn't too surprised. It's not like there aren't people who are faster than you. But you actually managed to cultivate the 9-stage Thunderblade to the 3rd stage in just half a year. This is really too abnormal. Monster. Humans are not perfect. There were people in the world who could improve their physical fitness quickly. For example, during the Grand Nirvana period, in just a few short years, the strongest Hong and the 2nd strongest Thunder God became existences surpassing the War God level and could fly. In just a few years, he had grown to such an extent. One could imagine that there were still some super geniuses in the world. However, the comprehension of the 9-stage Thunderblade depended on one's comprehension ability. Luo Feng's body fitness level increased quickly, and he was able to reach the 3rd stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade in half a year. He was definitely at the level of a freak. In the entire world, only 1 or 2 freaks like this appear every year. Quick, test the speed. Let me have a look. Wu Tong enthusiastically went to turn on the switch of the speed tester. Luo Feng laughed. Whoosh. His entire body instantly sped up like an arrow leaving the bow. With a whoosh, he whizzed past and then stopped. A number was displayed on the speed tester. 128 ms, not bad, it's a normal beginner-level warlord, smiled Wu Tong as he nodded. Luo Feng was quite satisfied. He was very clear that as a fighter's fitness level increases, so will their strength. Strength is fine, but speed. The higher you go, the harder it will be to increase it. Because the faster you go, the more air resistance there will be when you run, dodge, or move. The faster you go, the harder it will be to increase your speed. My speed is 128 meters per second and my fist strength is around 10,000 kilograms. With the 9-stage Thunderblade, it's around 28,000 kilograms. And my reaction speed test is intermediate level warlord level, excellent. Luo Feng often goes through reaction speed training, so he knew his current level. With his Ru Wei level technique, especially with his slight understanding of the perfect level, Luo Feng's current dodging technique is indeed shocking. As Luo Feng and Wu Tong were chatting, Jiangnan headquarter city's main sector airport. Airport is a strange word. Ever since the Grand Nirvana period, there have been many flying monsters in the sky, so the requirements for passenger planes have increased by who knows how many times. The cost of a passenger plane is even more ridiculous than the cost of an aircraft carrier before the Grand Nirvana period. The so-called passenger planes no longer have anything to do with the general public. There are indeed passenger planes nowadays, but every ticket for a passenger plane is an astronomical price to a regular person. Even rich people can't bear to buy a plane ticket. In the airport waiting area, the chairman of the Dojo of Limits and his 3 chiefs, the 4 heads of Jiangnan headquarter city's Dojo of Limits, were all waiting in the waiting area. He's here. Zhu Gutao smiled as he looked towards the sky. Whoosh! A blur appeared in the air above the airport as if it teleported. After that, it swiftly decelerated, passed through the city's defense system, and slowly landed. This was a completely dark blue disc-shaped passenger plane with a diameter of 30 to 40 meters. The dark blue light reflected from the plane was mesmerizing. Beep! The door of the disc-shaped passenger plane opened, and a staircase extended out. And the 4 heads of the Dojo of Limits immediately walked to the staircase of the plane. Those who can directly come to this plane are all people of status. There were only around 10 people in total. The passengers of the plane started walking down the stairs. Every single one of them has a special status. Keep in mind, there are very, very few passenger planes like this in the entire world, because they have to fly in the sky and also have to be safe. First of all, the outer surface of the plane is made of materials comparable to 9th Series battle uniforms and 9th Series fighter weapons. Even though it's just a thin layer, it can completely defend against attacks from high-level Horde leader-level flying monsters. Also, the entire plane is equipped with an expensive laser cannon. The laser cannon can completely kill any Emperor-level monster that dares to get close to the plane. All of this ensures the safety of the plane. At the same time, it also causes its cost to reach a shocking level. For example, the full price of the 9th Series Ghost Blade is 3 billion, the half price is 1.5 billion, and the best price in the Palace of War Gods is 1 billion. And its cost is around 800 to 900 million. And if you just take into account the Ku Luo alloy, etc., it only costs a bit more than 600 million. And the outer surface of the plane is made of this material. Even though it's just a thin layer of material, because of its high density, it still weighs 30 tons. Just the Ku Luo alloy alone costs 200 billion Chinese dollars. And then there's the laser cannon and other stuff. The cost of building a plane far exceeds the cost of an aircraft carrier before Nirvana. What's more, the maintenance cost of this plane is just as shocking. Every time it encounters an attack from a flying monster, it naturally needs to counterattack, which consumes even more energy. That's why the price of this plane is ridiculously high. Even rich people can't bear to sit on it. Old Yang, the chairman of the Dojo of Limits, laughed as he yelled. A middle-aged man wearing a gray robe laughed as he walked over. Iron Hand, haha, long time no see, old Yang. You came this time to check on that Luo Feng's ability, right? A 19-year-old beginner-level warlord, not bad. He has the right to undergo special training. Let's go, this is a small matter. Us brothers should find a place to chat. It's been almost 8 years since we last met, laughed the chairman of the Dojo of Limits. Chapter 103. Mr. Yang. Zhu Gutao and the other 2 chiefs also yelled respectfully. This man, Yang Hui, who looks like he's in his 30s, is actually over 50 years old. He's an intermediate-level war god, and usually lives in the Dojo of Limits world headquarters. Whether it's strength or status, this Yang Hui is on par with Steel Hand Zhou Jingyong. It's been 8 years. Let's go find a place to drink some tea. Then we'll eat lunch together. Oh yeah, Zhu Gu, is your brother in the headquarters city? Call him over, said Yang Hui. Okay, I'll call my brother right away, said Zhu Gutao. Yang Hui is a war god, Chairman Zhou Jingyong is a war god, and Zhu Gutao's brother, Zhu Gushan, is also a war god. Making friends is based on status and status. Otherwise, you won't even be able to enter this circle if you don't have any status or background. Steelhand, is the examiner in the headquarters city? Asked Yang Hui. The examiner went to number 003 city in the wilderness a few days ago to train his marksmanship, said Steelhand Zhou Jingyong. When the examiner comes back, I'll bring you to meet him. Iron Hand Zhou Jingyong said, when the inspector returns, I'll take you to meet him. Half a year ago, when the master came to our Jiangnan base city to look for the inspector was still in the wilderness. Head. When this word came out of Zhou Jingyong's mouth, the expressions of the 3 chiefs and Yang Hui immediately became serious. There's only one person who can be called head by the chairman of the Dojo of Limits headquarters in Jiangnan City, the undisputed strongest fighter on earth, the founder of the Dojo of Limits, Hong. A powerful fighter with boundless charisma. The strongest fighter of the human race. The examiner is training so hard because he wants to break through the war god level and become an existence surpassing the war god level, sighed Yang Hui. The head also said that Examiner Lu has a high chance of doing that, Examiner. He has an extremely high position in the Dojo of Limits world system. He's much higher than Zhou Jingyong and Yang Hui. He's an existence that has close contact with the world's strongest fighter, Hong. He's one of the top management members of the Dojo of Limit. Let's go drink some tea. We'll slowly investigate that Luo Feng kid later, smiled war god Yang Hui. Immediately, Special Envoy Yang Hui and the 4 heads of Jiangnan City's Dojo of Limits left the airport. February 28th, early morning. After doing a simple half an hour of warm-up in the training hall, Luo Feng entered the audiovisual room. The curtains on the windows of the audiovisual room were tightly shut, so it was almost pitch black inside. Only a sliver of light from the door of the audiovisual room shone in, giving the room a bit of light. Activate, Luo Feng commanded. At the same time, he leisurely brewed a cup of steaming hot tea. After placing the tea on the coffee table in front of him, Luo Feng sat on the soft sofa and placed the wireless keyboard on his lap. He swiftly entered the Home of Limits Warlord Level Forum to browse through the posts and occasionally reply to some posts. Warrior-level warriors from South America, Europe, Asia, and so on gathered in this forum. Occasionally, there would be warlords joining as well. Furthermore, through the forum, one could even have a one-on-one video chat with some martial artist. It had many functions. A portion of life water is indeed rare. A while ago, Luo Feng purposely chose to reply to 3 of the threads related to the elixir of life that had long since disappeared, causing these 3 threads to return to the front page. According to the terminology of the forum, this is digging graves. On the front page, many warlord-level fighters on the world saw this thread, so naturally, many people replied to it. Through these replies, Luo Feng learned more about the elixir of life. Sometimes, he would reply to it himself and chat with some of the fighters in the forum. The number of warlord-level fighters on the world that belong to the dojo of limits is extremely shocking. Nobody even knows where the elixir of life is. Luo Feng frowned. Could it really be like what the thread says? A portion of the elixir of life appears and is being auctioned off? Even if there really is an elixir of life, he wouldn't dare to buy it right now. Since he's not strong enough, once the vulture-scorpion couple finds out, it'll be a nightmare. Whatever, the most important thing for me right now is to increase my strength. My strongest point is my spiritual force. Right now, my body fitness level is at the beginner level warlord level. According to the fact that spiritual force is 2 levels higher than my body, my spiritual force should be at the advanced level warlord level. In other words, I can easily defeat advanced level warlords. Luo Feng was overjoyed. Last time, when he killed the old veteran named Lu and the White Brute, he ambushed them from behind when they weren't on guard. If he attacked them head-on, with Luo Feng's strength back then, he probably wasn't 100% confident. And now, if Luo Feng meets the old veteran named Lu and the White Brute, even if he fights them head-on, he can easily defeat them. Spirit readers can defeat fighters of the same level and can fight those who are stronger than them. This is publicly acknowledged in the circle of fighters. Right now, I can defeat advanced-level warlords and fight against a beginner-level war god. If I play dirty and use my spiritual force to kill a beginner-level war god, it won't be too hard. Luo Feng's rate of improvement is indeed shocking. It's only been 8 months since he awakened. His true strength is already comparable to a beginner-level war god. Actually, this isn't strange. First of all, Luo Feng is an extremely rare spirit reader among fighters. Keep in mind that every spirit reader is incomparably precious. They are born with extremely powerful spiritual force. Because when they are just born, their bodies are weak, so their spiritual force will naturally condense and hide in their consciousness. Those with less spiritual force naturally exist in the form of a liquid. Those with more spiritual force naturally exist in the form of a mixture of liquid and solid. The higher the ratio of solid to solid, the more spiritual force they have. And those with extremely shocking spiritual force exist in the form of a solid. Luo Feng is one of the most talented spirit readers, so his rate of improvement is already shocking. Plus, the ultimate 9-stage Thunderblade has amazing effects and Luo Feng's own hard work. With these 3 factors working together, Luo Feng's rate of improvement naturally reached an astonishing level. In a short 8 months, he's comparable to a beginner-level war god. However, compared to Hong and Thunder God back then, there's still a gap. Back then, Hong and Thunder God both became existences surpassing the war god level during their grand nirvana. Their rate of improvement is frightening. The dark golden ball in my consciousness has an extremely large amount of spiritual force. Since my body isn't strong enough, it can't handle it, so this large amount of spiritual force can only exist in the form of a dark golden ball. Luo Feng held the teacup and took a sip. The fragrance of the tea lingered in his mouth. So, the stronger my body, the more powerful my spiritual force. Right now, I should improve my physical fitness as fast as possible. Luo Feng typed in ways to raise body fitness level, and searched for posts in the forum. Very quickly, large amounts of posts appeared in the Warlord level forum. Obviously, this topic had been discussed by many people. He clicked on a few posts that had a lot of clicks and replies. Methods? What are the methods? Gene potion? The price was not too expensive. Through the captain's friend, he could buy one for 200 million. However, this genetic potion was extremely harmful to the body. Normally, after consuming it, one's strength would increase. Luo Feng slightly shook his head. Genetic medicine basically cuts off all hope for the future. Hence, people like Wei Tai, Wei Qing, and Chun Gu, who hadn't had any breakthrough for many years and had no confidence in their future, would be willing to consume genetic potions. And for Luo Feng? For those with limitless potential to consume genetic potions, that was simply an idiotic action. The second method is not bad. If you use it, your strength will double. Not only does it have no side effects, it can even increase your training speed. Luo Feng looked at the second method and could only shake his head helplessly. It's a pity that it's too expensive. The second method was actually to smear the dragon's blood on your body. After your body absorbs the dragon's blood, it will naturally become stronger. However, the requirements for the dragon's blood are very high. First, it has to be an emperor-level dragon. Second, it has to be the dragon's heart blood. After an emperor-level dragon is killed, only one portion of dragon blood can be produced. How many emperor-level monsters are there on Earth? And how many dragons are there among the emperor-level monsters? You can imagine how expensive this portion of dragon blood would be. One portion of dragon blood, at half price in the dojo of limits, is already worth 80 billion. And this is half price. The condition for half price is a 4-star contribution star. Luo Feng could only watch dumbfoundedly. This is basically the legendary godly medicine. After consuming it, your strength will increase without any side effect. Moreover, it will increase your training speed. How great! Sadly, how many people can afford it? The third method? Train hard on my own. Luo Feng shook his head. He could only train hard. This is the path that almost all fighters choose. With my training speed. After half a year, my body fitness level should reach the intermediate level warlord level. After the intermediate level warlord level, my body fitness level should reach the advanced level warlord level in another year. Luo Feng nodded. In other words, after a year and a half, my spiritual force will reach the intermediate level war god level. I'll be able to defeat anyone in the same level and fight an advanced level war god. After 3 years, my spiritual force will reach the advanced level war god level. I'll be near invincible among advanced level war gods. At that time, would I still be afraid of vultures and scorpions? 2 throwing knives will be enough to take care of them, of course. His dream is beautiful, but there's a huge prerequisite. That dark golden ball must be able to supply his spiritual force to the advanced level war god level. If the dark golden ball runs out halfway and disappears, then his rapid increase in strength will end. Every spirit reader has a rapid increase in strength, which is to absorb the spiritual force they were born with. Once they finish absorbing, the rapid increase in strength will end. With the existence of the dark golden ball, my strength will increase rapidly. I hope that my rapid increase in strength can last until my spiritual force reaches the advanced level war god level. Luo Feng was looking forward to it. Luo Feng was looking forward to it. An advanced level war god level spirit reader is the most terrifying existence below the war god level. And his dark golden ball. Just how long can it last before it runs out? Chapter 104. No one knows when the dark golden ball in his realm of consciousness will be used up, so Luo Feng stopped thinking about it. March 1st, Thursday, the day the Fire Hammer Squad leave. On the first floor of the HR Alliance Market, the 5 members of the Fire Hammer Squad gathered together. Crazy, what are you looking at? Are you disappointed that Lady Su Xian isn't here? Joked Wei Tai. Luo Feng didn't say much. He already called Su Xian last night. During Chinese New Year, Luo Feng and Su Xian even ate lunch together and chatted for a long time. Luo Feng has a crush on Su Xian, and Su Xian has a good impression of Luo Feng. However, neither of them revealed their relationship. Su Xian was in school, and the Su family was a large and powerful family. It wasn't that simple for her to have a boyfriend. As for Luo Feng himself, because of the vulture scorpion's astronomical bounty, the formless pressure is constantly affecting Luo Feng. When I get stronger and solve this problem, I'll explain it to Su Xian. Luo Feng understood that both of them have their own problems, so naturally they wouldn't reveal their relationship. Just the occasional phone call and the occasional date. That's enough. Alright, let's go. Captain Gao Feng stood up. Haha, my body is getting rusty during the new year. Let's go, laughed Wei Qing. Wei Tai, Chungu, and Luo Feng all stood up. The 5 members of the Fire Hammer Squad sat in the HR Alliance's private car and headed towards the train station. After that, they rode the train to the resupplying base of the Southeastern Military Sector. Wilderness, number 023 City. Last time, Luo Feng stole the dragon egg, and the steel-armored dragon's territory was near the highway, in the rural area. If Luo Feng followed the normal route to number 003 City, he might run into the steel-armored dragon. After stealing the dragon egg, Luo Feng doesn't dare to go there and face the wrath of the steel-armored dragon. In a ruined ancient building's courtyard, Luo Feng and Gao Feng were surrounding and killing a gigantic bull that seemed to be made of steel. Its entire body was fiery red, and 2 streams of white air were coming out of its nostrils. It was crazily attacking the human it hated the most, the young human who was always around it like a fly. This bull-type monster belongs to the steel-armored bull tribe, which has amazing defense. With its scales, it's definitely a medium-level commander. The other 2 high-level soldier-level steel-armored bulls it was leading were taken care of by Wei Tai and Wei Qing. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Luo Feng's footsteps were as fast as lightning, as if he was a bullfighter from before the Grand Nirvana period, toying with this enraged steel-armored bull. There were already a few wounds on the steel-armored bull's body, but sadly they didn't affect it much. Poochie! A cold light flashed like a bolt of lightning. With a spurt of blood, the blood shadow saber slashed upwards from below the armored bull's neck and cut halfway into its neck. Then, he pulled out the saber at lightning speed and fled. Pfft! The armored bull let out a low roar of unwillingness. Because its throat had been cut, its roar was weak and seemed to be leaking air. Immediately after, its enormous body collapsed with a loud bang, causing the entire ground to shake violently. The limestone floor that was covered in dust and bloodstains was directly shaken to the point where a crack appeared. Beautiful! Gao Feng praised. Crazy, your technique is getting better and better. Wei Qing couldn't help but to praise as well. Luo Feng himself was very clear. When he was in the steel-armored dragon's nest, the family mart, he instantly calculated when he escaped from the encirclement of hundreds of commander-level monsters. This allowed Luo Feng to match the perfect level technique in 1.2 seconds. After experiencing the perfect level technique for a short period of time, in the 2 months since he returned home, Luo Feng often used the Dojo of Limits, reaction speed tester, to train his technique. Technique is split into the basic level, the Ru-Wei level, the perfect level, and the conception level. After these 2 months of hard training, Luo Feng did indeed touch the feeling of the perfect level. Everyone must be tired. Today's harvest was pretty good, so let's go back and rest, said Captain Gao Feng after dissecting the steel-armored bull's corpse and collecting the materials. Wei Tai, Wei Qing, and Chungu all responded, let's go back. Captain, you guys go back first. I'll find some more monsters and practice my blade technique. I'll come find you guys later, laughed Luo Feng. Young people sure are motivated, Gao Feng, Chungu, and the others all laughed. Gao Feng, Chungu, and the others all laughed. Luo Feng has been like this for the past few days. Every day, when the other squad members were tired and needed to rest, Luo Feng would go out alone to hunt monsters. However, everyone knew Luo Feng's strength, so they didn't stop him. After Gao Feng, Chungu, and the others left, Luo Feng was the only one left. The sky was gloomy. The Lone Ranger Luo Feng, with a shield in one hand and a blade in the other, traveled through the streets and alleys of number 023 City. Sometimes he would fight against powerful commander-level monsters, and sometimes he would fight against hordes of monsters. Number 023 City was originally Suzhou. Many places had ancient-style buildings, but sadly, this place has become a playground for monsters. Chi. Fresh blood flew everywhere. Monster limbs flew everywhere. Luo Feng used the third stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade over and over again. He often challenged his limits and charged into the hordes of monsters to fight. In the hordes of monsters, Luo Feng worked hard to push his technique to its limit. He worked hard to use other monsters and the environment to help him. After a long time, only after Gao Feng and the others went back to rest for 3 hours did Luo Feng drag his exhausted body to a small river. He cleaned his battle uniform and prepared to go back. In just 3 short hours, at least a few hundred monsters died in Luo Feng's hands. However, the monster's ability to reproduce is also extremely high. Even if Luo Feng doesn't kill them, the monsters that need food will kill the weaker monsters and eat them. The structure of the battle uniform was very tight. Water couldn't even penetrate the insides of the battle uniform. It was completely immune to attacks like needles and needles. With just a bit of cleaning, the blood of the monsters would be washed off. On the 6th floor of a 6-story residential building, the Fire Hammer Squad was here. "You're back." Gao Feng and the others looked towards the door. Luo Feng walked in. "Yeah, I killed 8 commander-level monsters." Luo Feng took out the materials from the 8 commander-level monsters and placed them on the ground. "I'm going to train my genetic energy for a bit. Let's eat dinner together later." Compared to other people, Luo Feng hunted a lot more commander-level monsters every day. One person's bag couldn't fit all of them. Chingu advised, "Luo Feng, don't work too hard, take it easy." "Yeah, why work so hard? You'll tire yourself out," Gao Feng also advised. With Luo Feng working hard, the Fire Hammer Squad's income will greatly increase. Even though most of the monsters Luo Feng hunts by himself belong to him, the others still get some of the benefit. "Haha, this is nothing," Luo Feng laughed as he entered a room on the side. The floor of the empty room was wiped by Luo Feng long ago. After putting down his shield, bag, blade, and throwing knives, Luo Feng started to train his Dao Yin technique. "Feels good, every time I train my Dao Yin technique when I'm exhausted to the limit, it feels like every cell in my body is trembling." Luo Feng was in a good mood. Why is it that the higher the level of the 9-stage Thunderblade, the faster the body fitness level increases? It's because the 9-stage Thunderblade drives the body's strength on an even deeper level. It even affects the cells. The more the body's cells are used up, the hungrier they get. Only then can they devour more genetic energy. Martial artists all say that fighting against monsters is a life and death battle, and that one's strength will increase quickly. Why is that? It's because when you're on the brink of death, you subconsciously dig out every bit of your strength. This deep digging allows you to absorb more genetic energy every time you train. Luo Feng easily figured out the reason. One person was desperately swinging his blade in his home's training hall, while the other was swinging his blade in a group of monsters in the wilderness. Even though both of them were swinging their blades. However, the person in the wilderness dug out more of his body's energy and used up more of it. Thus, his cultivation speed would also be faster. These few days, my improvement in the wilderness is clearly a third faster than at home. Luo Feng knew his improvement speed based on the amount of energy he absorbed every day. And just like that, Luo Feng immersed himself in killing monsters in the wilderness. Every day, his body was covered in blood, as if he just came out from a sea of blood. His body movement technique, saber technique, and physical fitness were also gradually improving at a certain speed in this kind of crazy cultivation. However, this crazy killing made Luo Feng's killing intent increase by quite a bit, which one of the true martial arts powerhouses hadn't experienced monstrous massacres and made their way to where they were. Right now, Luo Feng is only slowly moving forward on this path. Jiangnan Headquarters City, Dojo of Limit. In the large audiovisual room. From these materials, this Luo Feng is indeed quite talented, and he's also very hard-working. In 2 months, He killed more than 10,000 soldier-level monsters? How hard-working! His beginner-level warlord's strength was indeed earned by his own hard work. The envoy from headquarters, War God Yang Hui, looked at the printed information in front of him. Steel Hand, have you arranged for that Wu Tong? Asked Yang Hui. Wu Tong is online right now, so he can chat with you anytime, smiled Chairman Zhou Jingyong. Yang Hui nodded and swiftly turned on the 3D hologram. A dreamy light swiftly formed a 3D hologram in the center of the audiovisual room. The head of Yangzhou City's Dojo of Limits, Wu Tong, directly appeared in the center of the audiovisual room, as if the real person was here. The only difference was that there was a faint glow on the surface of his body. Wu Tong greets President and Special Envoy. Wu Tong bowed slightly. Okay, War God Yang Hui nodded. I'm sure you know why I'm looking for you. You're in charge of Yangzhou City's Dojo of Limits, and that Luo Feng lives in the Mingyue sector, so you should be quite familiar with him. Yes, Wu Tong nodded. Tell me everything about his physique and his current strength, Battle God Yang Hui ordered. Yes, a proud smile appeared on Wu Tong's face. Luo Feng is one of the few geniuses in our Yangzhou City in the past 10 years. After the new year, he'll be 19 years old. He's only been a fighter for a bit more than half a year. As of now, his fitness level is 10,000 kilograms and his speed is 128 meters per second. I'm not too sure about his reaction speed, but I know that half a month ago, he was at the intermediate level warlord level, pass. From what I know, he's training in the 9-stage Thunderblade, and he already reached the 3rd stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade during the new year. In other words, he reached the 3rd stage within half a year. Wu Tong bowed slightly. These are some of the important data that I know. The 3rd stage of the 9-stage Thunderblade. War God Yang Hui, who was calm before, had a change in expression. Are you sure? Yang Hui couldn't help but to ask. I'm sure. I personally saw him unleash a full-strength punch of 28,000 kilograms, said Wu Tong with confidence. War God Yang Hui and Chairman Zhou Jingyong exchanged glances. I'm afraid the decision from above will have to be changed, laughed Zhou Jingyong. Yang Hui looked at Wu Tong. Where's Luo Feng right now? I want to see him personally. Chapter 105. Wu Tong in the virtual 3D projection slightly bowed and replied. Envoy, Luo Feng entered the wilderness with his Firehammer squad members on March 1st. He's still in the wilderness and hasn't returned to the headquarters city yet. March 1st? Yang Hui and Zhou Jingyong, the two war gods, couldn't help but to laugh as they looked at each other. Yang Hui couldn't help but to laugh as he scolded. When I arrived at Jiangnan headquarters city, this Luo Feng hadn't gone to the wilderness yet. You dragged me to that. Yang Hui's voice trailed off. He waved his hand at Wu Tong and said, All right, there's nothing else for you to do. Yes, President, Special Envoy. Wu Tong bowed slightly. Chi. The dreamy light dissipated, and so did the 3D projection. You almost spilled the beans. If this Wu Tong hears this, he'll definitely laugh at us. Steel Fist, Zhou Jingyong's expression slowly became serious. Let's not talk about that and talk about Luo Feng. What Wu Tong said just now couldn't be false, right? War God Yang Hui frowned. It's definitely not fake. Zhou Jingyong waved his hand and said confidently, I know Wu Tong's character. Moreover, if he lied, we would be able to find out later. Since that's the case, why would he lie? Yes. War God Yang Hui nodded slightly. I understand, but I really can't believe it. He's only 19 years old, but his physical fitness is already comparable to a beginner-level warlord. Moreover, he managed to cultivate the 9-fold Thunderblade to the 3rd level in just half a year. It's rare, it's really rare. Looks like I have to contact the higher-up. Zhou Jingyong also nodded. A special training contract isn't too suitable for this Luo Feng. He should be barely qualified to enter the War God preparation camp. The legendary, the Dojo of Limits, has 2 main training camps. One is the basic training camp and the other is the elite training camp. The basic training camp selects geniuses from all over the world. They sign a special training contract and enter the basic training camp to receive the best training. The elite training camp was the best training camp in the world, also known as the Aries Preparation Camp. In the entire world, the Dojo of Limits had the basic and elite training camp. The Thunder Dojo also had the basic and elite training camps, but what was indisputable was that the Dojo of Limits elite training camp was ranked number 1 in the world. Even the strongest person in the world, Hong, would occasionally go there to teach. Even war gods find it hard to receive Hong's guidance. But in this elite training camp, there was a chance. You said the elite training camp? Yang Hui frowned. He barely meets the requirements, but I have to apply to the higher-up. You know how precious the spots in the elite training camp are. Zhou Jingyong nodded. I understand. Under normal circumstances, like in Jiangnan headquarters city, the Dojo of Limits will send 2 or 3 geniuses to the basic training camp every year. Back when the Thunder Dojo tried to recruit Luo Feng, they used this spot. But the elite training camp was different. In the entire Jiangnan base city, a base city with a population of 200 million, only one person would be selected for the elite training camp every 5 years. There were only 6 base cities in the entire country of Huaxia. It could be said that out of a population of over 1 billion, only one would be chosen every year. Contact Patrol Inspector Wang. Yang Hui issued a voice-controlled command. Beep beep, hello. A low and hoarse voice echoed in the audiovisual room. Sir Investigator. Yang Hui and Zhou Jingyong both immediately stood up and were extremely respectful. Patrol Inspector. His position in the Dojo of Limits is just below the founder, Hong. According to the rules of the Dojo of Limits, any fighter in the Dojo of Limits who can become an existence surpassing the war god level will receive the position of Investigator. In other words, the Investigator is an existence surpassing the war god level. Oh Yang Hui, what's up? The Investigator's voice carried over. Sir Investigator, I came to Jiangnan headquarters city this time to investigate a young man named Luo Feng. However, I found out that he's only 19 years old and his fitness level is already at the beginner warlord level. And he only trained the 9-stage Thunderblade for half a year and he already reached the 3rd stage. I think that he has the right to enter the elite training camp, said Yang Hui. The Investigator went silent and the audio room was also silent. Yang Hui and Zhou Jingyong both remained silent, not daring to interrupt. The Chinese military just came to our headquarters to negotiate and asked for a spot in the elite training camp. This year's spots are almost full, so we shouldn't give another spot to China. How about this? We'll give this Luo Feng a chance. Let him take the B-level test if he passed. If he passes, then let him enter the elite training camp. The Investigator's hoarse voice echoed throughout the audio room. Yes, Yang Hui respectfully replied. Beep, the other side hung up. Only now did Yang Hui and Zhou Jingyong let out a sigh of relief. The war god level and the existence surpassing the war god level seemed to be only one step apart. However, in terms of strength and status, the difference is too big. An existence surpassing the war god level can completely flatten a city with over 10 million people and can negotiate with a super strong country on equal terms. B-grade exam? Frowned Zhou Jingyong. Don't you usually just need to pass the A-grade exam? There's too few spots. China has a lot of people and a lot of fighters. 1 or 2 peerless geniuses would pop up from time to time. Previously, one of the spots had been taken by the Huaxia country's military. Therefore, if Huaxia still wanted to let more genius martial artists enter the training camp, it's not strange that he needs to undergo a more difficult test, Yang Hui said. Yes. Zhou Jingyong nodded. By the way, the Wang family in Kyoto hopes to reserve a spot in the elite training camp next year. They are willing to pay 50 billion Chinese dollars. The Wang family of Jingdu? Next year? Yang Hui creased his eyebrows. The HR Alliance and our Dojo of Limits have a long-term relationship. Every year, the HR Alliance has a reserved quota. What? The Wang family is still one of the 9 core families of the HR Alliance, yet you didn't get a spot for the HR Alliance. We have to fight for it. Why do we have to go through the back door? Zhou Jingyong laughed. There are 9 core families, so it's not strange that the Wang family couldn't get one. After all, in the HR Alliance's underground meeting, the Western families have the advantage. This matter is more troublesome. Yang Hui shook his head and said, usually, only a patrol can make a decision. 50 billion is a lot of money. Sadly, it's hard to say whether or not it can move the patrol. Isn't your relationship with Patrol Lu pretty good? The Wang family also hopes to use you to form a connection, laughed Zhou Jingyong. The son-in-law of the Wang family sure is different. He even betrayed an old friend. Yang Hui couldn't help but to shake his head. Steel hand, for your sake, I'll talk to Uncle Lu. You should know that there are only so many spots for the elite training camp every year. All the powerful countries and families are eyeing it like wolves. Trying to go through the back door won't be an easy task, understood? After this is done, the Wang family will remember this favor, said Zhou Jingyong. The Wang family. The number 1 family in all of China, and one of the 9 core families of the HR Alliance. However, these families still have a huge difference when compared to the giants like the Dojo of Limits and the Thunder Dojo. After all, the 2 founders of the Dojo of Limits and the Thunder Dojo, Hong and Thunder God, are existences that all the powerful countries fear. They're already invincible. Help me prepare a fighter jet. I'm going to the wilderness to take a look at this Luo Feng and let him take the B-grade exam, said Yang Hui. All right, the fighter jet will be ready immediately. However, even though this Luo Feng is powerful, the chances of him passing the B-grade exam. Zhou Jingyong shook his head. Oh yeah, call Luo Feng first and confirm his current location, said Yang Hui. Don't worry, do I need you to tell me about such a small matter? Laughed Zhou Jingyong. Number 023 Headquarter City. The sky was dark and the cold wind was howling. Luo Feng was currently sitting cross-legged in the Wu Xin Xiang Tian position as he trained his genetic energy. The omnipresent energy of the universe flowed into his body through the 5 channels of the Wu Xin. Every single cell in Luo Feng's body that was starving seemed to be cheering as they crazily swallowed the energy of the universe that passed by them. Inside the cells, through the mitochondria, it was quickly converted into genetic energy. After that, it was quickly absorbed by the cells and slowly changed his body's genes. His entire body was also slowly becoming stronger. After feeling that every cell in his body, including his bones and muscles, was completely saturated, Luo Feng let out a breath and directly stood up. His mind was 100 times more alert. Luo Feng, you finished training? Come out and eat dinner, Brother Chen's voice carried from the living room. I'm coming, Luo Feng smiled as he walked out. A group of people quickly sat down in the living room. Luo Feng was among them. The group of people happily picked up their water bags, some compressed biscuits, high-energy sugar pills, and even some vacuum-packed meat. Our backpacks are filled with quite a bit of monster materials. I think we should go back to the resupplying base in 2 days, said Gao Feng as he drank some water. The main thing is that Luo Feng did a great job and got quite a bit of monster materials. Compared to a madman, we're all old, Wei Tai purposely sighed. Qin Gu couldn't help but to shake his head. I've been in the wilderness for over 10 years and I can't improve anymore. After a while, Luo Feng's strength will probably grow to the point where he needs to join a powerful fighter squad. I'm also preparing to retire at that time. Retire? Us brothers are also preparing to retire in 1 or 2 years. Wei Tai and Wei Qing also nodded. Suddenly, the atmosphere became a bit sad. Retiring is a good thing, you should laugh. Laughed Gao Feng. When that time comes, I might be able to join the same fighter squad as Luo Feng. Or, if they don't want me, I can only choose another squad. Everything is hard to say. No matter what, I still want to fight for another 10 years. Let's see if I, Gao Feng, can become a war god in this lifetime. Right as Luo Feng was about to speak, suddenly, the watches of all 5 members of the Fire Hammer squad vibrated. They lowered their heads and saw that a satellite map appeared on their watches. On the map, there was a blinding red dot. Emergency signal. The 5 members of the Fire Hammer squad looked at each other. It's only around 1,500 meters away from us? Hurry! Go! The 5 members of the Fire Hammer squad swiftly carried their backpacks and weapons and rushed over. Chapter 106. In number 023 city, there were many elegant buildings. However, these buildings were all in ruins. As the cold wind blew, the roars of monsters could be heard. The 5 people of the Fire Hammer squad swiftly moved forward. Actually, since Luo Feng's fitness level has reached the beginner level warlord level, this means that his spiritual force has reached the advanced level warlord level. He can battle with a beginner level war god. In other words, Luo Feng can be considered a war god. With Luo Feng here, as long as you're careful, there's almost no danger in the wilderness. Since Horde Leader level monsters are rare, monsters below the Horde Leader level are just sending themselves to their deaths if they meet Luo Feng. Even if they meet a rat tide or ant tide, Luo Feng can still fly, so his safety is extremely high. Look, it's right in front. Luo Feng's group of 5 laid on the roof of a 2-story restaurant as they looked at the wide street in front of them that could fit 4 cars side by side. On the streets, a vast horde of ocelot monsters were roaring like tigers as they chased after a small group of warriors. Among this horde of ocelot monsters, there were several 2-tailed ocelots, and even some with 3 tails. There's a 4-tailed ocelot behind them, said Gao Feng quietly. 2-tailed ocelots are low-level commander level. 3-tailed ocelots are medium-level commander level. 4-tailed ocelots are high-level commander level. A high-level commander level monster is definitely a nightmare for a regular fighter squad. And ocelots have the strength and savagery of a tiger-type monster, but they also have the agility and speed of a cat-type monster. They are extremely difficult monsters to deal with. Not too difficult. Luo Feng slightly squinted his eyes. They're brothers from our dojo of limits, so we need to help, said Gao Feng solemnly. Gao Feng said solemnly. Once one encountered danger in the wilderness, they could use the tactical communications watch to send out an emergency rescue signal. This signal would be indiscriminately sent to all martial artists within a 20 kilometers radius. If they were from the same dojo, the signal would be red. If they're from different dojo, the signal will be green. Since the tactical communications watch is connected to everyone's fighter card and ID, it can automatically tell if they're from the same dojo. Captain, you guys go and help. I'll cover them, said Luo Feng quietly. Madmen are the best at group battles. Wei Qing gave a thumbs up. Wei Qing gave a thumbs up. Indeed, Luo Feng, with his technique, would perform extremely well in a chaotic battle. Gao Feng quietly said, "Let's go!" Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The group of people immediately sprinted and flew out. Gao Feng, Wei Tai, Wei Qing, and Chen Gu directly rushed towards the escaping little fighter team. Luo Feng, on the other hand, didn't run behind them. Instead, he stood in the middle of the road and began his massacre. For a war god, a monster horde was not a threat, unless it was a horde of small monsters, such as a rat horde or an ant horde. Of course, Luo Feng doesn't use his throwing knives. This horde of beasts is still quite a challenge for him. Pooh! Poochie! Blood splattered everywhere as the heads of the ocelot monsters flew into the air. Their huge corpses collapsed, instantly blocking the street. Most of these ocelot monsters were soldier level. Only a few of them were two-tailed ocelots, and very few of them were three-tailed ocelots. And there was only one four-tailed ocelot. Luo Feng was like a butterfly, effortlessly weaving through the horde of monsters. Even though the charge of a monster horde was very terrifying, once one was knocked down by a monster, it was very easy to be trampled to death by countless monsters. However, Luo Feng's technique was exquisite. He even used the corpses of other monsters or the bodies of running ocelot monsters to block the other monsters. This allowed him to avoid being knocked down and only face a small number of monsters at the same time. Can't get through? No one's picking up? No one's calling back either. Jiangnan headquarters city. On the rooftop of the Dojo of Limits headquarters, Chairman Zhou Jingyong held his cell phone in confusion. The war god Yang Hui beside him shook his head and said, "You can't even do something like this. Steelhand, I have to look down on you." As he said that, war god Yang Hui also called Luo Feng's number on his tactical communications watch. It already shows his location. He's in number 023 city. It's easy to find his location based on the signal. Even a normal cell phone has this function. I'll head over directly. War god Yang Hui waved his hand and directly entered a dark blue fighter jet on the side. He closed the door. The fighter jet quickly rose into the air and flew out of the city's defense system, heading towards the southeast direction. In number 023 city, the emergency signal quickly spreads to a distance of 20 kilometers. In reality, if a fighter encounters danger in the wilderness, other fighters won't be able to save them in time if they're too far away. This emergency signal was originally set to spread to a distance of 20 kilometers, which is considered quite a large range. It's a green emergency signal, not from our Thunder Dojo. 4 fighters were sitting in a room on the 6th floor of a rundown hotel. It's probably from the Dojo of Limits. Brothers, should we go? One of the guys with a scar on his face looked at the others. A handsome bald young man lowered his head and said, "It's less than 2,000 meters away from us. Let's go take a look. If we can help, we'll help. If it's too dangerous, then we'll just leave it be. Let's do as Gua says. Let's go." "Alright, let's go." This North River squad, which is quite famous in Jiangnan headquarters city, instantly made their decision and carefully headed out one by one. Even though the North River squad has 1 advanced level warlord and 3 intermediate level warlords, Guahai of the 3 intermediate level warlords' strength is close to that of an advanced level warlord. A squad like this is indeed very powerful. However, in a city in the wilderness their speed is still quite slow. They don't dare to fly, since there might be a monster lying in ambush in front of them. Right in front of us, it's a horde of ocelot monsters. Damn, there's probably close to 1,000 of them. The North River squad was half squatting on the roof of a shop facing the street as they looked towards the street. Look over there, such a powerful guy. He's attracting at least half of the monsters by himself. Which powerful guy? The members of the North River squad were all shocked. The bald youth, Guahai, opened his eyes wide and looked carefully. He saw a young fighter with a hexagonal shield in one hand and a ghost blade in the other. He was like a ghost that kept dodging. Even though his body was frighteningly fast, every step he took could be measured with a ruler. Howl, howl. The angry ocelot horde madly charged towards Luo Feng. Their sharp claws were also madly waving. A large amount of monsters even jumped up and pounced towards Luo Feng, as if a wave was going to swallow Luo Feng whole. However, no matter how crazily the monsters attacked, Luo Feng's technique has already reached the level of an artist. Every step he takes is exquisite. Every sideways and horizontal movement of his body is pleasing to the eye. The monster horde's seemingly terrifying and crazy attacks were extremely clumsy in front of Luo Feng's footwork. It was like a joke. Ru Wei class. It's definitely a Ru Wei class technique. The other fighters of the North River squad couldn't help but to exclaim, "It's Luo Feng? It's actually him?" Guahai frowned. Of course he knew Luo Feng. When war god Lu Gang died and the entire nation's memorial was broadcasted, he was chatting with the Su family's Su Gang about Luo Feng. At the time, Luo Feng was chatting with Su Xian not too far away. In a sense, Guohai and Luo Feng are love rivals. Guohai likes Su Xian, and Luo Feng likes Su Xian too. Stop looking, why aren't you making a move? Make a move. The 4 members of the North River squad charged out. How long has this Luo Feng been a fighter? Has he already caught up to me? Guohai had a strong dissatisfaction and fighting spirit in his heart. A man, especially in front of a love rival, won't easily admit defeat. Furthermore, he, Guohai, is a genius fighter close to the advanced level warlord level. If you don't compare his spiritual force, he wouldn't be any weaker than Luo Feng. Luo Feng was like a reef in the middle of the street where the monsters were running. Around him was a large amount of monster corpses. The monsters were either crashing into each other or leaping towards Luo Feng. Basically, Luo Feng was surrounded by monsters from all directions, but he was still able to hold on under these circumstances. This is a way to use the environment to make my technique more efficient. Luo Feng was drawing his blade. Luo Feng dodged as he swung his blade. He was a bit excited, using the environment, using every object, be it the corpse of a monster, the attacking monster itself, or even a rock. To become one with the environment, that's the perfect level. During this time, Luo Feng has been thinking about the perfect level technique. He understands the theory behind it, but when he actually does it, he can only have a flash of inspiration. He can't maintain that state for long. Howl, with a roar that reached the sky, the entire group of ocelot beasts swiftly retreated under the lead of their leader. Like a receding tide, they quickly left. When they left, the eyes of the ocelot beasts were filled with cruelty and hatred. However, the leader of the ocelot beasts clearly knew that they wouldn't be able to destroy this group of human fighters even if they sacrificed the entire group. This must be our Jiangnan headquarters city's famous madman. Seeing you today, you are indeed amazing. I'm the captain of the North River squad. Kong Wei, the knife-scarred man, enthusiastically walked over. Luo Feng also smiled as he walked over. At this time, a voice rang, Luo Feng. A bald youth with blood on his battle uniform walked over and stared at Luo Feng. Luo Feng, I'm Guohai. You should have heard of my name. Guohai? Luo Feng looked at the youth in front of him. You're the fighter who became an intermediate-level warlord at 21 years old? Of course Luo Feng remembers this name. When Su Gang mocked him, he mentioned 2 people. One is the genius fighter Guohai, and the other is the Wang family's Wang Xingping. He should be his love rival. That's me. Guohai let out a smile. You should have heard of it from Su Gang, right? HM? Luo Feng raised his eyebrows. Let's compete fairly against Su Xian. Guohai's eyes lit up. Luo Feng, I admit that your technique is amazing. It's not like those who just entered the Ru class and make mistakes. You're at the peak of the Ru class. I can't beat you in technique, but at least you deserve my respect. At this time, the other members of the Fire Hammer squad and the rescued fighter squad from the Dojo of Limits walked over. The genius fighter of the Thunder Dojo, Guohai? Of course Gao Feng, Chun Gu, and the others recognized Guohai. Guohai's reputation is huge. Back then, he was also recruited into the Thunder Dojo. However, Luo Feng, I should be able to become an advanced level warlord before the end of this year. Guohai slightly smiled. I think the Su family would be willing to let their daughter marry me as a 22-year-old advanced level warlord. Guohai was a very calm person. When he first heard of Luo Feng, he didn't care at all. However, after seeing Luo Feng's performance today, he felt threatened, which is why he said those words. Even if the Su family is willing, Su Xian has to be willing. Luo Feng slightly frowned. With Su Xian's status, many people are destined to chase after her. However, he didn't expect to meet a love rival today. Luo Feng raised his head and looked at the sky in the distance. He saw a ghostly blue light streak across the sky. After that, it swiftly slowed down and stopped high in the sky. This ghostly blue fighter jet with beautiful curves began to descend and actually stopped on the street a few dozen meters away from Luo Feng. Chapter 107. In the dark sky, the blood of the monsters on the street formed a small stream. Under the howling of the cold wind, the blood flowed towards the descending disc-shaped fighter jet. This dark blue disc-shaped fighter jet completely attracted the gazes of all the fighters present. The last time Luo Feng saw a fighter jet was because of the rat tide. What is the fighter jet doing here, and even stopping right in front of us? Who is it looking for? Luo Feng was suspicious. The other martial artists at the side began to discuss in low voices. Flying fighter? Is this a military fighter jet, or a wargoods fighter jet? The Fire Hammer Squad, the North River Squad, and the rescued Snow Fox Squad. These 3 squads had more than 10 martial artists, and they all looked at this flying fighter in confusion. Under normal circumstances, it was rare for a martial artist to encounter a fighter jet flying in the sky in the wilderness, let alone a fighter jet stopping right in front of them. Hua! The cabin door opened. Luo Feng looked carefully and saw 2 silhouettes jump down one after the other. These 2 people were both wearing black battle uniforms and walked over one after the other. The one behind was one of the 4 big shots of Jiangnan headquarter city's Dojo of Limits, Zhu Gutao. Zhu Gutao even smiled and nodded towards Luo Feng. Director Zhuge. Supervisor. Luo Feng, Gao Feng's Fire Hammer Squad members, and the rescued Snow Fox Squad members all respectfully yelled. As for Team North River, they stood to one side without saying anything. They belonged to the Thunder Dojo. However, the members of the Fire Hammer Squad, the Snow Fox Squad, and the North River Squad were all confused. One of the 4 giants of Jiangnan City's Dojo of Limits was acting like a follower, following behind a middle-aged man? Who was this middle-aged man? Luo Feng, Gao Feng, and Tao Ku. Let me introduce you. Zhu Gutao smiled and stood next to the middle-aged man. This is the envoy from our Dojo of Limits World Headquarters, Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang is a war god. The members of the Fire Hammer Squad, as well as Tao Ku and the others from the Snow Fox Squad, were all shocked. Mr. Yang. Everyone greeted respectfully. Yes. This war god Mr. Yang only nodded and didn't say much to the other fighters. His gaze swept across the crowd and quickly landed on Luo Feng. This scene immediately raised the suspicions of the other fighters. Why is this envoy from the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters staring at Luo Feng? Of course, Yang Hui has seen Luo Feng's face through pictures. Luo Feng, said Yang Hui. Mr. Yang, replied Luo Feng, but he was confused. Zhu Gutao smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng, Mr. Yang took a plane from our dojo's world headquarters to Jiangnan headquarters city, mainly because of you. Mr. Yang has put in a lot of effort for you this time. You should thank Mr. Yang properly. Indeed, although this Yang Hui had the common problem of a war god, arrogance, he was still a war god. However, Yang Hui still cares about talented juniors. If Yang Hui didn't ask the investigator to let Luo Feng enter the elite training camp, Luo Feng probably wouldn't even have the chance to take the B-grade exam. No need to thank me. This is Luo Feng's own hard work to get this chance, smiled Yang Hui. Luo Feng was filled with questions. What were Yang Hui and Zhu Gutao talking about? He couldn't understand it at all. Luo Feng, let's go and get on the fighter jet first, urged Zhu Gutao. At the same time, he ordered the members of the Fire Hammer Squad, Gao Feng, your Fire Hammer Squad will temporarily stop doing anything in the wilderness and return to the headquarters city. From today onwards, Luo Feng won't be joining your Fire Hammer Squad anymore, so you guys should prepare yourselves. What? Luo Feng and the other members of the Fire Hammer Squad were shocked. Chief, what's going on? Asked Luo Feng. I'll tell you when we get back to the headquarters city. Zhu Gutao looked around. Even though there was no need to keep this a secret, he didn't want to say it in front of so many people. Under the gazes of a group of people, Luo Feng, Zhu Gutao, and envoy Yang Hui boarded the fighter jet. This disc-shaped fighter jet swiftly rose into the sky and transformed into a dark blue light, directly disappearing into the horizon. Gao Feng, Chen Gu, Wei Tai, and Wei Qing all had complicated expressions on their faces. They all realized. The Fire Hammer Squad is probably going to be disbanded. Zhu Gutao's previous words of Luo Feng won't be joining your Fire Hammer Squad were very clear. And today, a war god and a chief of the main dojo personally came to the wilderness to invite Luo Feng. Something big is probably going to happen. Luo Feng is probably going to the dojo's world headquarters to undergo special training, said the captain of the Snow Fox Squad, Tao Ku. Very likely, with Luo Feng's strength, he indeed has the right to receive the special training contract. Don't talk nonsense. The world headquarters' special training isn't enough for the war god and chief to personally come to the wilderness. For example, our Thunder Dojo has 2 to 3 spots in the entire headquarters city every year to undergo special training. As long as the chief requests it, the envoy will come and verify it. How could the envoy, the war god, come to the wilderness just for this? Said the captain of the North River Squad, Kong Wei, as he shook his head, unless it's the legendary War God Preparation Camp. War God Preparation Camp. Guahai's breathing quickened and his face changed. The legendary world's #1 training camp's true name is the Elite Training Camp. However, fighters call it the War God Preparation Camp, because 90% of those who enter this camp will become a war god. The other 10% will become handicapped, die, etc. This Luo Feng entered the War God Preparation Camp? Guahai couldn't help but to clench his fist. Between love rivals, it was natural for them to compare themselves with each other. In the entire Jiangnan headquarters city, only one person enters the War God Preparation Camp every few years. He entered? Impossible. Guahai's face was a bit ugly. Whoosh! The dark blue disc-shaped fighter jet turned into a stream of light and quickly arrived above Jiangnan headquarters city. After that, it slowly descended. Luo Feng, we've arrived at the headquarters city. Let's get off the fighter jet immediately, said Zhu Gutao. So fast, Luo Feng looked at the fighter jet. Some of the disc-shaped fighter jet's data wasn't made public. According to what he saw before, this fighter jet speed is at least a few times the speed of sound. Over 1000 m per second is definitely no problem. Plus, it's flying in a straight line in the sky. In just a few short minutes, it arrived at Jiangnan headquarters city from number 023 city. HUA. The hatch automatically opened. Zhu Gutao, Luo Feng, Yang Hui, and the others all jumped off the fighter jet. The disc-shaped fighter jet landed on the rooftop of the Dojo of Limit's headquarters. Dojo of Limit's headquarters, 31st floor. There was a spacious, gigantic training hall. The entire training hall was silver-white, and a man in a white dojo uniform was sitting cross-legged in the middle. Ding! The elevator door opened. Luo Feng followed Zhu Gutao and Yang Hui into this gigantic training hall. The moment he entered, Luo Feng's gaze was attracted by the man in the white dojo uniform. He could feel an invisible energy wave around the man in the white dojo uniform. His hands are pretty big. Luo Feng noticed with a glance that this man's hands were like fans. One of his hands was equivalent to 2 of a normal person's hands. You're here. The man in the white dojo uniform stood up and smiled as he looked at Luo Feng. You must be Luo Feng. Oh, old Yang, you're preparing to give Luo Feng a B-grade exam in my Jiangnan headquarters city? Yang Hui slightly hesitated. The man in the white dojo uniform continued. After you went to find Luo Feng, I thought about it carefully. It's a bit troublesome to apply for a B-grade exam in a headquarters city. And no matter if Luo Feng succeeds or fails, he'll still go to the world headquarters. If that's the case, he might as well go to the headquarters and directly take the B-grade exam. That's much simpler. What you said makes sense, laughed Yang Hui. That's true. If Luo Feng succeeds, he'll enter the elite training camp. If he fails, he'll enter the fundamentals training camp. Either way, he'll still have to go to the headquarters, no matter what. With Luo Feng's conditions, he definitely won't have any problems entering the fundamentals training camp. As Luo Feng listened to their conversation, he couldn't help but to be confused. What is this B-grade exam that these two are talking about? Luo Feng, this is the chairman of our Jiangnan headquarters city's Dojo of Limits headquarters, said Zhu Gutao quietly. Luo Feng realized, so it's him. He immediately recalled the information he saw on the internet. Zhou Jingyong, war god fighter, nicknamed Steel Hand, chairman of Jiangnan headquarters city's Dojo of Limits headquarters. After Zhou Jingyong and Yang Hui chatted for a bit, they looked towards Luo Feng. Luo Feng, our Dojo of Limits world headquarters has a total of 2 training camps. The Fundamentals Training Camp and the Elite Training Camp. You know about them, right? Said Yang Hui. Not sure, Luo Feng shook his head. Zhou Jingyong laughed on the side. Special training contract, you've definitely heard of it, Luo Feng nodded. The Thunder Dojo used this contract to rope him in. The Fundamentals Training Camp takes in all the talented geniuses from all over the world and lets them receive the best training. The Elite Training Camp is the world's #1 training camp. The students it takes in are all geniuses among geniuses, all monsters. Zhou Jingyong looked at Luo Feng. Similarly, the Elite Training Camp has teachers that can be called monsters. Your teachers are at least war gods. There are even examiners, and even existences surpassing the war god level, investigators. Even the world's strongest fighter, Hong, will go to the training camp. The world's second strongest fighter, Thunder God, will also be invited. Luo Feng froze. Elite training camp? All the students are monsters? The teachers are at least war gods? Even Hong and Thunder God will go? Not only will you have the best teachers, but you'll also receive the most advanced equipment on Earth. Some of them are treasures excavated from archaeological ruins. You'll receive the most perfect training. Zhou Jingyong stared at Luo Feng and couldn't hide his excitement as he spoke. Yang Hui sighed on the side. The world's most talented students, the best teachers, the best equipment. This is the world's #1 training camp. As long as you don't die, you can say that you'll all become war gods in the future. Luo Feng blinked twice. Of course, every spot in the elite training camp is priceless. Even the super financial group families, with their connections, would find it difficult to buy a slot even if they spent tens of billions. Yang Hui looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng, you have the chance to enter the world's #1 training camp. The only condition is, you have to pass the B-grade exam. Chapter 108. Luo Feng held his breath. The super consortiums and families, with their connections, spent tens of billions of dollars, but still couldn't buy a spot? And treasures excavated from ancient civilization ruins as teaching equipment? Archaeological ruins, there really are archaeological ruins? Luo Feng couldn't help but to ask. Of course. Yang Hui smiled and said, there is more than one ancient civilization ruin in the world. This news is indeed unknown to the general public, and even most martial artists don't know about it. Only a few core and elite existences know these secrets. Yang Hui already knew that Luo Feng would become a war god in the future. Naturally, there was nothing to hide. Mr. Yang, President, this world's #1 training camp can increase people's strength so quickly? Asked Luo Feng. Without a doubt. President Zhou Jingyong was full of confidence. Whether it's your physical fitness, your movement skills, your saber skills, your combat experience, etc., they will all be much faster than if you cultivate alone. You have to know there are the best hardware facilities, the best software facilities. Actually, the most important things were the hardware facilities and various equipment, especially the treasures from the ancient civilization ruins. It is indeed very beneficial for martial artists to improve their strength. I wonder how much faster I can go? Luo Feng pondered. The speed at which his body was improving was fast enough. If he enters the world's best training camp and has the best external help, he'll probably become an advanced level war god spirit reader much faster. If I stay in the Jiangnan Bay City, I'll have to be on guard against the vulture and scorpion couple. I'll have to be careful every day, not daring to relax. I might as well go to the world's best training camp. That's the core of the Dojo of Limit's headquarters. The vulture-scorpion couple probably doesn't have the ability to find that place. Luo Feng instantly made his decision. Think of a way to enter the world's best training camp. That was where all the monstrous geniuses from all over the world gathered. Competing with the most monstrous geniuses from all over the world was also a very interesting thing. Any more questions? Yang Hui and Zhou Jingyong looked at Luo Feng. When can I come back after entering this training camp? Asked Luo Feng. The elite training camp lasts a total of 5 years. In these 5 years, only January and February are the holidays, and the students can return to their hometowns. Yang Hui continued to answer, of course, if you become a war god in these 5 years, you'll naturally graduate from the training camp earlier. Luo Feng nodded. Become a war god and graduate. If you don't become a war god, you can study for 5 years at most. But there are quite a few students, Zhou Jingyong laughed on the side, even if their true strength has already reached the war god level. But they wouldn't hunt down Lord-class monsters and bring them back to the training camp to gain enough achievements to become war gods. Instead, he will continue to study in the training camp for 5 years as an advanced level warlord. The ranking was based on one's battle achievements. There were students, even if they were war gods. If he didn't kill horde leader monsters to sell, he would never be a war god. This way, he could stay in the training camp until his 5 years were up. Luo Feng, even war gods dream of studying in the elite training camp. Therefore, even if you become a war god, it's best for you to continue staying there. Yang Hui reminded. Then, he smiled. Of course, if you really go in and discover the benefits, you'll have to pay a visit. I don't need to say anything more. Luo Feng nodded and clicked his tongue in wonder. Looks like this elite training camp has a lot of attractions. Mr. Yang, what is this B-grade exam? Followed Luo Feng. This is a test for you, said Yang Hui seriously. The B-grade exam is extremely difficult. You've trained your 9-stage Thunderblade to the 3rd stage, so your control over your body's strength is good enough. However, according to my estimation, your chances of passing the B-grade exam. As he said that, Yang Hui shook his head. Clearly, he didn't have much confidence in Luo Feng. Actually, under normal circumstances, you just have to pass the A-grade exam. However, the Chinese army just asked for a spot in the Dojo of Limit's headquarters. So if you want to enter, you have to pass the B-grade exam. Yang Hui didn't hide anything. Of course, you still have hope of passing the B-grade exam. If you don't give up, you still have hope. Okay, Luo Feng was very confident. If worst comes to worst, he'll just add his spiritual force to his blade technique and his power will naturally increase. He's sure that passing this B-grade exam won't be a problem. Do you have any more questions? Smiled Yang Hui. No, Luo Feng shook his head. Are you willing to take the B-grade exam and enter the elite training camp? If you fail, you can still enter the basics training camp. Yang Hui looked at Luo Feng. I'm willing, nodded Luo Feng. Yang Hui slightly nodded and pointed towards the fist strength testing machine in the corner of the training hall. Go punch it for me to see. Actually, this is just a simple task. With Yang Hui and Zhou Jingyong's vision, they can first determine Luo Feng's level of the 9-stage Thunderblade by looking at how many times Luo Feng's fist sped up. 2. They can also look at the fist strength testing machine's value. The first time was brute force, 10,002 kilograms. The second time was a full force burst, 28,061 kilograms. The verification passed. Yang Hui didn't even need to test Luo Feng's speed and reaction speed. His verification was actually just to check Luo Feng's level of the 9-stage Thunderblade. Luo Feng sat on the sofa and carefully looked at the contract in his hand. This was a special training contract. The Dojo of Limits does indeed have few restrictions for fighters. Luo Feng didn't have any objections to this contract and signed 4 of them in a row. One of these 4 contracts belongs to you. The other 3 are for the internal procedures of my Dojo of Limits, laughed Yang Hui as he took out a black wooden box. Yang Hui smiled and took out a black wooden box from his bosom. There was a jade seal inside the wooden box. This was the special envoy's seal. Yang Hui's signature was not effective, so he could only rely on the special envoy's seal. But the jade seal pressed down. Keep it well. Yang Hui handed a contract to Luo Feng. Zhu Gu, tell Yixia to come up for a bit, commanded Yang Hui. Yes, Zhu Gu Tao immediately took the elevator down. Moments later, the elevator door opened again, and Zhu Gu Tao walked in with a young man wearing training clothes. This young man's hair was slightly yellow, and his face was soft. He was a rather handsome young man, and could completely compare to entertainment television stars. Luo Feng, this is Yixia. He's a young fighter that our Dojo of Limits chose to send to the basics training camp this year. He's also a little genius, laughed Yang Hui. Luo Feng walked over and smiled as he extended his hand. Luo Feng, Yixia, this handsome youth also extended his hand and shook Luo Feng's hand. Yixia, this is your senior. He'll be coming with you to our Dojo of Limits World Headquarters. Your senior's goal is the elite training camp, said Yang Hui. The calm handsome youth, Yixia, had a look of shock in his eyes. As a genius that's about to enter the basics training camp, of course he knows about the elite training camp. Those who can enter the basics training camp are geniuses. Those who could enter the elite training camp were geniuses among geniuses, monsters. Senior Luo Feng, let me introduce myself. I'm Yixia, a first-year student at Jiangnan University. Yixia's attitude had clearly changed. Geniuses would only feel pressured when they met someone even more talented. Jiangnan University, the best university in our Jiangnan headquarters city? Luo Feng laughed as he complimented. You're amazing, I'm just a student who failed the exams. Senior brother, don't make fun of me. How many students does Jiangnan University recruit in the whole country? Moreover, there were 2 or 3 universities in the country that were better than Jiangnan University. In the whole of China, there's only one person in a year who can enter the world's best training camp. Yixia said. Yixia wasn't arrogant at all in front of Luo Feng. Indeed, the elite training camp was open to the governments, armies, super consortiums, and families from all over the world, and the top geniuses among the martial artists. How many people were recruited in a year? More than 10 would be considered pretty good. Luo Feng, Yixia. Yang Hui smiled. Both of you are on the same day, which is March 28th. Fly with me to my Dojo of Limits World Headquarters. Before 2 p.m. on March 28th, you must arrive at the airport and meet up with us there. Yes, Luo Feng and Yixia both replied. Alright, you guys can go back. Have a good gathering with your families. You can only go home during New Year's in the future, said Yang Hui. Luo Feng and Yixia both took the elevator and left. The sky was already dark. Yangzhou City, one of the 8 great cities of Jiangnan headquarters city, was filled with lights. A Hummer specially used by the Dojo of Limits slowly drove on the street. Luo Feng looked out the window at the residential buildings and the shops on the street. Yangzhou, I've been here for so many years. Soon, I'll have to leave. I'll leave China and head towards the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters. 5 years? So long. I can usually video chat with my parents and brother. He has to pay attention to his brother's elixir of life and see when it's sold. And before I leave, I have to go see one grew up with him in diapers, so their relationship isn't any less than his and his brother Luohua's. However, since he became a fighter half a year ago, when just happened to be in university, so they only met up a few times during New Year's. And the brothers from the Fire Hammer squad. Even though we haven't been together for long, we've been through quite a few life and death situations. Suddenly, a figure appeared in Luo Feng's mind. Su Xian. What about Su Xian? Su Xian, I'm leaving China and going to the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters. What about Su Xian and me? Luo Feng's heart was a bit complicated. As he looked at the lights outside the window, his heart felt like it was flipping over. The sweetness, the bitterness, and the spiciness rose up in his heart. After taking a deep breath, Luo Feng shook his head. What's the point of thinking so much right now? I'll just video chat with Su Xian. When I have enough power and enough status, then no one will be able to stand between me and Su Xian. Oh yeah, Su Xian is at Jiangnan University. That Yixia is also at Jiangnan University. Luo Feng had a good impression of Yixia, this genius fighter who will be staying with him overseas for a long time. Just like him, he will also be leaving his hometown for a long time. One is at Jiangnan's Second Military Academy and Su Xian is at Jiangnan University. They're both at the university town. When the time comes, I'll go see one first and then Su Xian. It'll count as a farewell. Beep. As the Hummer's horn sounded, the Hummer entered the Mingyue sector. Home. Chapter 109. Since the release of Swallowing the Star, except for the 3 chapters on the first day, it had not exploded yet. Well, tomorrow, that is, the 13th to be exact, today, there would be a small explosion. Satisfy the brothers, whoosh, Tomato left first. By the way, call for monthly votes and recommendation vote. Chapter 110. This is because he will be leaving China at the end of the month and heading towards the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters. So during this period of time, Luo Feng stayed at home with his parents and brother. Even though his father Luo Honggua, mother Gong Xianlan, and brother Luo Hua didn't want to leave, they didn't want to affect Luo Feng's great future. On the day of March 12, Luo Feng and the members of the Fire Hammer squad gathered together. First, they sold the monster materials they hunted before. Since this was the last time the Fire Hammer squad would sell monster materials, Luo Feng suggested that the 5 of them split the money. The total amount of monster materials sold this time was around 800 million. Logically speaking, Luo Feng contributed the most, so he should get the most, around 300 million. However, everyone was clear that once Luo Feng leaves the Fire Hammer squad, the older Chen Gu, Wei Tai, and Wei Qing will also retire, so the Fire Hammer squad will naturally disband. Luo Feng has been in a normal fighter squad for half a year, while Gao Feng, Chen Gu, and the others have been in the fighter squad for even longer. Everyone's feelings were complicated. Luo Feng suggested that the 5 of them split the money equally, and Gao Feng immediately agreed. Since Luo Feng and Gao Feng took the majority of the money, since they both agreed, Chen Gu, Wei Tai, and Wei Qing didn't argue anymore. Each of them received around 170 million. After that, the Fire Hammer squad drank until 3 to 4 p.m. Only on the second morning did the group of people take the train and return to their homes. And so, the Fire Hammer squad officially disbanded. Chen Gu, Wei Tai, and Wei Qing retired. Luo Feng will head towards the world headquarters, and Gao Feng will join another fighter squad to continue fighting. March 21st, the sun shined brightly and the weather was great. Jiangnan headquarters city, the university sector of the main sector. This university sector took up a huge amount of space, and all 8 universities in Jiangnan headquarters city were gathered here. In front of one of the universities, the shining words Jiangnan's Second Military Academy were on top of the main gate. It was extremely eye-catching. At this time, quite a few male and female students walked out of the school gate. Some were hooking up with each other, while others were just a few male or female students. Only one youth, who was wearing a simple dark blue t-shirt, leaned on the railing of the bridge in front of the school gate and watched the students come and go. "Hey, Luo Feng!" A loud yell resounded from afar. Only then did Luo Feng turn his head towards the source of the sound. From afar, he saw a skinny and weak-looking youth running towards him. He seemed like a gentleman. It was his good brother, Wei Wen, who grew up with him. When Luo Feng smiled as he ran over, "I was waiting for you at the school gate. Why did you come out here?" "I finished my cultural class this morning, so I went back to the dormitory. Our dormitory area is quite far from the campus," Wei Wen explained. "Oh, separate campus and dormitory? You've really opened my eyes for someone who's never been to university," laughed Luo Feng weirdly. "Damn it, you're a martial artist, yet you're teasing me." Wei Wen laughed and couldn't help but to hit Luo Feng's chest. "It's just the start of spring and it's still cold. Aren't you afraid of the cold wearing this shirt? Hee hee. No wonder you're a fighter." Compared to Luo Feng, Wei Wen's clothes were clearly thicker and warmer. Luo Feng looked around. "Let's go, let's find a place to sit, haha, it's rare to meet such a fat sheep. This time, I'm going to rip him off. I want to go to that 100 Leaves house," said Wei Wen. "All right, that 100 Leaves house, lead the way," laughed Luo Feng. Usually in the wilderness, when he interacts with fighters in the resupplying base, he's always a bit on guard. But when he interacts with Wei Wen, Luo Feng feels like he's back in middle school and high school. He's very relaxed. 100 Leaves House, a medium-sized restaurant. A meal for 2 to 3 people costs around $300 to $400. However, for a student without a source of income, this is already a very extravagant expense. However, for a fighter, this is very, very normal. "Sir, how many?" the waitress passionately greeted. "2, Luo Feng looked around. "Let's find a quiet place." The waitress greets people every day and has seen who knows how many people. With one glance, she felt that Luo Feng was different from the other students. Just that sharp gaze alone was enough to make her heart palpitate. She naturally lowered her head and said, "There's a private room upstairs, please follow me." TSK, I've never been to a private room before. I've only been here with my girlfriend a few times, and it was in the lobby on the first floor. Wei Wen and Luo Feng walked up the stairs together. "Girlfriend? I didn't hear you talk about it during the new year." "It hasn't been that long, right?" asked Luo Feng. The two of them entered an elegant compartment upstairs and quickly ordered some dishes and a case of beer. After putting down the menu, Wei Wen smiled and said, "My relationship with my girlfriend wasn't completely settled during Chinese New Year. It was only after Chinese New Year when school started that we decided on it." "Congratulations." Luo Feng couldn't help but to clench his fist as he laughed. "You haven't even been in military school for a year, and you already got a girlfriend, amazing." "I'm just lucky. My girlfriend is from the normal university next door." Wei Wen opened the cap of the beer bottle. "You also know that there are a lot of guys in our military academy and a frighteningly small number of girls. There's a huge male-female ratio. So, you found someone from another school?" Luo Feng couldn't help but to laugh. "Come, let's drink first." Wei Wen held the beer bottle. Luo Feng also held a beer bottle, clinked it, and drank 2 mouthfuls. "Luo Feng, dating a girlfriend isn't an easy thing." Wei Wen couldn't help but to raise his head and drink quite a bit of beer. His skin turned red as he shook his head and sighed. Nowadays, people just compare themselves to each other. When it comes to finding a girlfriend, they'll compare themselves to whoever's prettier. And that's just a small thing. The most important thing is the atmosphere. Atmosphere? Luo Feng was a bit confused. For example, if I go out to eat with my girlfriend, if I don't find a nice place to eat, my girlfriend has a good temper, so she won't say anything. But those female classmates of hers will be gossiping. Wei Wen shook his head. "You don't know, but those girls play tricks on each other. They're even more ridiculous than us guys. Her boyfriend is some rich kid. Her boyfriend is an elite member of the dojo. How is her boyfriend? They all compete. For my girlfriend's sake, I have to bring her to a nice place when I go out to eat with her." Wei Wen shook his head helplessly. Luo Feng froze. Without going to university, Luo Feng really didn't understand these things. However, in high school, there were already some signs of girls comparing themselves to each other. You know that eating out costs a lot of money. And I also occasionally buy gifts for my girlfriend. In just 1 month, I've already spent around 4,000 inch Wei Wen raised his head and drank the entire beer bottle in one gulp. His glasses were a bit red. Sometimes my girlfriend even pays for me, Luo Feng slightly frowned. My girlfriend and I are both from normal families and live in low-rent housing. How much money can we have? That's why I'm tutoring now. Sadly, I'm not an elite member of the dojo yet, so tutoring doesn't make much money. Wei Wen shook his head. I've finally seen through it. Life is all about pride. Luo Feng sighed to himself. Wei Wen's family's financial situation was even better than his own family's. When he was in middle school and high school, he always lent money to Luo Feng. In just this 1 month, I've finally seen through it. Everything can be summed up in one word: status. In this society, people step on people. Look at those with money and family conditions. They always have a few followers in university, and even girls throw themselves at them. And those who are strong and are already fighters are also respected by others. And those with big backgrounds have quite a few students willing to follow them, hoping that they'll help them out in the future. Money, power, strength. Rich people have status. Those with a background hold power and status. Martial artists naturally have their own status. Wei Wen opened another bottle of beer. So, this world is very simple. People will naturally respect those with high status and look down on those with low status. Luo Feng couldn't help but to nod. After all these years, Luo Feng always felt that Wei Wen was very smart. His words were simple and vulgar, but they clearly explained this society. When rich people lose their money, they're done for. If a person with power doesn't have that position, he might lose his power. Power and money are given by the outside. One's own strength is the most practical. So, in conclusion, the most practical thing is still strength. Look at martial artists. Even if they are crippled, they still have enough martial strength, and can still be a dojo teacher. Wei Wen smiled. This relationship also made me even more determined. I must become a fighter. This year, I might become an elite dojo student. I hope to become an official fighter before I graduate. Wei Wen raised his bottle. Come, cheers. Seeing that Wei Wen wasn't discouraged at all, Luo Feng couldn't help but to relax. Come, cheers. Luo Feng raised his bottle. The two brothers chatted as they drank. After eating and drinking, they ordered a pot of tea and sat there chatting. Only until around 4 p.m. did Luo Feng send Wei Wen to the dorms. Outside the dorms, follow this road and pass 2 traffic lights. You will see Jiangnan University's campus, Wei Wen said as he pointed at the road. Okay, saying so, Luo Feng took out his phone. Call Su Xin? Mocked Wei Wen. Suddenly, Wei Wen felt his phone vibrate and couldn't help but to take it out as he mumbled to himself. My girlfriend is probably looking for me to eat dinner. I'll have to spend money again. He opened his phone and looked carefully. It was a message. Your card ending with 0306 21 1651, Bank of Communications, received $6 million, balance, $6,002,100. Bank of Communications, 6 million. Wei Wen's eyes widened. To him, this is an astronomical number. Who transferred the money to me? Wei Wen almost instantly thought of one person, Luo Feng, who was beside him. Out of all his friends and relatives, only Luo Feng could take out this much money without batting an eyelid. Luo Feng, this is you. Wei Wen raised his head and looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng put his hand on Wei Wen's shoulder. Since you want to become a fighter, then work hard. Don't waste your time being a tutor to earn some money. Take this money as my congratulations for your first official relationship. I'll see what your girlfriend's female classmates dare to say in the future. Men have to stand up straight in front of women. Wei Wen's eyes couldn't help but to slightly redden. F***ck, no way, are you going to cry? Luo Feng opened his eyes wide, as if he saw something strange. What the hell are you crying for, you bastard? Wei Wen couldn't help but to laugh. This amount of money isn't much to Luo Feng. A random medium-level warlord-level monster is worth over 10 million. Alright, I'm going to Jiangnan University. Luo Feng waved his hand and walked towards Jiangnan University along the street. Wei Wen looked at the message on his phone. That astonishing number of 6 million made him feel like he was in a dream. Just a while ago, he was smiling on the outside because he was spending money with his girlfriend. However, he was worried on the inside. Who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, he would receive a huge sum of money? P.S. Chapter 1 has arrived. Chapter 111. If you want to ruin a couple's relationship, especially with someone like Su Xian who lives in a big family, you can't be too obvious. Or else Su Xian will get suspicious. So when Uncle An arranged for people to do this, he didn't plan on ruining Luo Feng and Su Xian's relationship in one go. He planned on doing it a few times. The first time, he made Su Xian suspicious, and then slowly. And he succeeded. This scene seemed like a simple mistake, but it already made Su Xian suspicious. Wrong person? Definitely not the wrong person. This girl just stared at Luo Feng carefully before confirming his identity. Why is she immediately apologizing now? That's too fake. Su Xian saw through it with one glance. Luo Feng's face wasn't too good either. How did he encounter such a mess? Sorry, really sorry, I mistook you for someone else, apologized the charming girl. Sister, let's go. What can Luo Feng say? She already said she mistook him for someone else. Ladies, please wait a moment, Su Xian said. Luo Feng froze and looked towards Su Xian. Su Xian just raised her head and looked at the two girls. Oh, what's up? The two girls turned their heads towards Su Xian. The sister asked. You guys said you met him 2 days in a row, said Su Xian. I didn't meet your boyfriend, said the woman. It's my male friend, Big Mountain. Su Xian nodded. Mountain? Oh, you said 2 days in a row, so you also met that Mountain yesterday? The sister and sister exchanged glances. The sister glanced at Luo Feng and then smiled towards Su Xian. Of course, we didn't just meet, we even spent the night together yesterday. My Mountain is amazing. I wonder how your boyfriend is like in that aspect. As she said that, she even laughed a bit lewdly. Spent the night? Oh, then you probably mistook me for someone else. My boyfriend and I video chatted until late at night, a full 3 to 4 hours. There's no way he would spend the night with someone else, smiled Su Xian. Suddenly, the two girls' faces changed. Oh no. The plan went wrong. The plan never expected Su Xian to video chat with Luo Feng for so long. The two girls looked at each other with a bit of panic in their eyes. The plan just started and the first step already failed. Then the second and third steps won't even have the chance to start. The two girls said a few words to Su Xian and then immediately left. After the two beauties left, Luo Feng laughed and looked at Su Xian in shock. Su Xian, we video chatted for around an hour yesterday. Why did you say 3 to 4 hours? Let's see their reaction. Just bluffing them a little, and their expressions all changed. Su Xian smiled. If I'm not wrong, these two women should be arranged by my brother or one of the other young masters. But this time, their methods have improved. Indeed, the two beauties' act of mistaking someone else for someone else had caused Su Xian to be slightly suspicious. But there was a loophole. However, Su Xian did indeed video chat with Luo Feng yesterday for around an hour. This made Su Xian suspect. Could it be that Luo Feng went out to have fun after chatting late at night? It wasn't realistic, so Su Xian asked a few more questions and exaggerated by saying that it would take 3 to 4 hours. The two beauties immediately felt that they had been seen through and left in a panic. Amazing, amazing! Luo Feng gave a thumbs up. These family matters are messy. I've let you see a joke. Su Xin apologized. Luo Feng suddenly laughed. You just said? My boyfriend and I video chatted yesterday. Oh. Boyfriend. He Luo Feng laughed weirdly. Luo Feng, I couldn't tell, but you're pretty bad. That's what I said just now. Su Xin couldn't help but to blush. When they left the restaurant, it was already past 8 p.m. and the sky was already dark. Luo Feng walked Su Xin along the streets of the university city until they arrived at the Jiangnan University dorms. After the destruction of the two girls, Luo Feng and Su Xin's relationship took another step forward. The two of them occasionally teased each other, but they just couldn't confirm their relationship. The night was dark and filled with stars. No need to send me off, I'm going in. Su Xin looked at Luo Feng. Good luck in the elite training camp. Okay, Luo Feng nodded. Su Xin's face was slightly red as she stood at the entrance of the dorm building's staircase. Who knows if it was because of the red wine or something else. I actually lost my cool because of what that girl said at the beginning. Why was I so angry? Was it because of him? Could it be that I really... As Luo Feng was walking in the dorms, there seemed to be quite a few people under the shade of a tree in front of him. Luo Feng, someone spoke in front of him. Luo Feng looked carefully. There were a total of 6 people under the shade of the tree. The leader was a good-looking, fair-skinned rich young master. Behind him stood an old man and 4 strong-looking men. These 4 people were probably fighters based on their auras. Able to hire 4 powerful fighters as bodyguards? This person isn't a normal person. I'm Luo Feng and you are? Luo Feng smiled as he looked at the rich kid. My name is Wang Xingping from Kyoto City. The rich kid walked over. I came to see you because I have one piece of advice. You better leave Su Xin. What if I don't leave? Luo Feng looked at the rich kid. Wang Xingping raised his eyebrows. I know who you are, the young master of Kyoto City's Wang family. Kyoto City's Wang family is one of the 9 core families of the HR Alliance. Luo Feng looked at him. Wang Xingping grinned. Very well, I think you should be a person who knows the rules very well. There are rules everywhere in the world. What you need to do is to act according to the rules. If you violate the rules and do something you shouldn't do, you will be punished. If you break the rules and do something you shouldn't do, then the consequences are not something you can handle. Do you understand what I mean? 8 or 9 p.m. is the time when the dorms are the busiest. Quite a few university students who were eating snacks or walking around noticed Luo Feng and Wang Xingping's group when they passed by. Since Wang Xingping's underlings are obviously not normal people. Rules? Luo Feng squinted. The Wang family is the only family in China that made it into the 9 core families of the HR Alliance. Their influence in the regular human world is terrifying. This family's methods aren't something a normal person can imagine. Luo Feng, you should know that people in this world are different, even though they say everyone is equal, but in the end, people are not equal. Some people can only follow the law and all sorts of rules. Even then, trouble will still fall from the sky. Some people can find a bunch of beautiful women, break the law, beat people, and even kill people, and nothing will happen, and some people can destroy a family with one sentence. One sentence can give a young man a bright future. Even fighters have to listen to their orders. Wang Xingping looked at Luo Feng. You should know what kind of person I am. And what kind of person are you? These words didn't hide the arrogance in his bones at all. Luo Feng didn't say anything. As Luo Feng and Wang Xingping were talking, a man and a woman were walking hand in hand, not far from the dorms. Tao, I'm really sorry. I'm probably going to be abroad for 3 whole years this time. Of course, I'll come visit you during the new year. The one speaking was Yixia, who was about to head to the Dojo of Limit's world headquarters with Luo Feng. And the person holding Yixia's hand was his girlfriend from high school. Yixia, don't worry, we can see each other often through the internet. It's just 3 years, it'll be over quickly. The girl called Tao Tao held Yixia's hand. Yixia is definitely a famous person in Jiangnan University. He's handsome and has a good temper. Both the guys and girls he knows treat him well. His family is good, and his father is a war god. He's also very strong, and he's about to go to the Dojo of Limits foundational training camp. Maybe in the future he'll become a war god. Plus, his father is already a powerful war god. Who knows how many girls are chasing after such a young man? Tao Tao was able to get together with Yixia because of a lot of people trying to sabotage their relationship. However, you can't be a playboy. Tao Tao looked at Yixia. Okay, Yixia slightly nodded. Okay, what's going on in front? Yixia looked in front of him with confusion. With his genius vision, he could clearly see a few people in the distance. That's Senior Luofeng? Why is Senior Luofeng here? Tao Tao, didn't I tell you last time that there's an extremely powerful fighter coming with me to another country? He's right in front, said Yixia. Where is he? Tao Tao was curious. Let's go, I'll bring you to see him, smiled Yixia. Senior Luofeng has a good temper. Under the tree, Wang Xingping glanced at Luofeng. You're a beginner-level warlord fighter, right? These guys are 100% loyal to our Wang family. Tell this Luofeng your battle score, intermediate-level warlord level, intermediate-level warlord level, intermediate-level warlord level, 3 bulky men said in a low voice. When it came to the last bald middle-aged man, he slightly smiled. Advanced-level warlord level. Young man, I advise you to be more tactful. Even a war god wouldn't dare to be this cocky in front of the 9 core families of the HR Alliance. You have a bright future ahead of you, don't ruin it. Luo Feng's eyes flashed and he smiled as he nodded. Young Master Wang, you're amazing. 4 bodyguards, 1 advanced-level warlord, and 3 intermediate-level warlords. Back then, young Master Li Wei had 2 advanced-level warlords and 1 intermediate-level warlord. However, Li Wei died. Brother Wang, you're here too, a familiar voice rang. Luo Feng turned his head. Wang Xingping and the others also turned their heads. It was Yixia and his girlfriend, Tao Tao. It's young Master Yixia, whispered the housekeeper, Uncle An. The 4 bodyguards also let out a smile towards Yixia. Wang Xingping smiled as he looked at Yixia. Yixia's father is a famous war god in Jiangnan headquarters city. And because of his good temper and wide connections, many of the war gods are his life and death brothers. Even the Wang family has to be polite towards a war god with such wide connections. What's more, this Yixia has great talent and is about to enter the basics training camp. In the future, he might even become a war god. Yixia, what a coincidence, you're here too. Wang Xingping no longer had the attitude he had towards Luo Feng. Instead, he seemed more approachable. Haha, I saw that Senior Luo Feng was here before. I didn't think that Brother Wang would be here too. Yixia smiled as he looked towards Luo Feng. Senior Luo Feng, you know Brother Wang too? Senior Luo Feng? Wang Xingping frowned. Usually, only when you're in the same dojo and know that you're not as good as the other person, will you call him senior. Yixia called Luo Feng senior? Yixia, I just met this Wang Xingping, so I'm not too familiar with him, smiled Luo Feng. Yixia laughed and said to Wang Xingping, Brother Wang, don't you like to meet geniuses? This Senior Luo Feng of mine is much more powerful than me. This time, Senior Luo Feng will be coming with me to another country. And Senior Luo Feng is going to enter the world's #1 elite training camp. Elite training camp? Wang Xingping's heart shook. Oh no. Even the National Army has to fight for a spot in the elite training camp. Every person who enters the elite training camp will become a war god in the future. And the special training in the elite training camp will make these war gods much more powerful than normal war gods who train hard on their own. Every student in the elite training camp has an extremely high status. Even the 9 core families of the HR Alliance have to rope them in. Because these students will become very powerful in the future. Plus, their fellow students in the training camp are all geniuses of the world. After graduation, all of them will become war gods, with their own strength and connections. Every student will become a high-level member of the Dojo of Limits, or a high-level member of a country's special department, or a high-level member specially invited by the HR Alliance. An absolute existence of the highest level. Even a country's government treats these people like they're the masters. Indeed, they are the masters. Because these geniuses are also very smart, so they naturally form groups. A single genius is ridiculously powerful. When dozens or hundreds of them form groups, when one side is in trouble, the others will come to their aid. No core family of the HR Alliance wants to offend such an invisible force. This is also the reason why the families of the megacorporations spend tens of billions and hundreds of billions to find people to enter the world's #1 training camp. And these students, they might even become Hong's disciple or Thunder God's disciple. Damn, he actually entered. Wang Xingping wanted to punch himself in the head a few times. He's just a normal little fighter, how did he? Senior Luofeng, Brother Wang is a very nice person, and he likes to make friends. Yixia smiled towards Luofeng. Yixia smiled towards Luofeng, then turned his head towards Wang Xingping. Brother Wang, in a bit me, Senior Luofeng, and you, let's find a place to talk? As he said that, Yixia intentionally winked at Wang Xingping. From Yixia's perspective, he's doing Wang Xingping a huge favor. How many of these top-level geniuses are there in the entire world? How can you get to know them so easily? 3 chapters completed. Brothers, don't hide your monthly votes and recommendation votes. Those with monthly votes, please support Tomato. As for recommendation votes, everyone has one, right? Throw them all at me. Chapter 112. The night breeze of early spring was very cold, but Wang Xingping's brain felt like it had been fried, and his face was frighteningly hot. I really have the worst luck in 8 lifetimes. How many students does the world's #1 training camp recruit in the whole world? In the Jiangnan Bay City, there would only be one every few years. I actually ran into him just like that, and I even threatened him. If he, Wang Xingping, was the head of the Wang clan, he might have the right to threaten the other party. However, the person in charge of the Wang clan was his grandfather. His grandfather had several sons and more than 10 grandsons. Although he was the eldest young master of the direct line of descent, his status was slightly higher than the other grandsons. However, the selection of the future leader of a large clan was definitely not based on age alone. The internal competition was very intense, and the clan would then decide on the first successor, the second successor, and so on. His grandfather abdicated, and his father's generation took over. Their fathers had been in power for decades before it was their grandchildren's turn. Not to mention that Wang Xingping had not become the clan leader. Even if he had become one, he would have to endure for another few decades. The amount of power I can use is only a tiny portion of the clan's power. Wang Xingping clenched his teeth. If the family knows that I actually fought with a student from the world's best training camp, I'm afraid the first thing he'll do is send me to apologize and arrange for people to negotiate with Luofeng, turning a big problem into a small one and a small one into nothing. Wang Xingping was very clear about the rules of the big clans. Since he couldn't kill his opponent, he had to turn his enemy into his friend. And Luofeng is about to enter the Dojo of Limits world headquarters. In there, even the 5 great countries wouldn't dare to send people over. That was because it was the territory of the strongest person in the world, Hong. Hong's name was much more threatening than a nuclear bomb. Hey, Brother Wang, what are you thinking about? Yixia urged with a smile. Wang Xingping took a deep breath and looked at Luofeng, after which he lowered his head and bowed. Luofeng, this time I, Wang Xingping, was in the wrong. Please don't take it to heart. Did he apologize? This Wang Xingping actually bowed and apologized. What is going on? Yixia stared blankly at Wang Xingping, then at Luo Feng. Even if he was blind, he could tell that something was wrong. Luo Feng looked at Yixia and laughed. Nothing, just a little misunderstanding with this young master Wang Xingping. Guys, I still have something to do, so I'll be leaving first. After saying that, Luo Feng turned his head and walked along the shaded concrete path. After Luo Feng left, Yixia said quietly, "Brother Wang, what happened? Did you offend Luo Feng? I've really lost face this time." Wang Xingping straightened his body, however. "Yixia, I have to thank you for this. If you didn't tell me about this Luo Feng's identity, I probably would have offended him without even knowing it. Right now, Luo Feng doesn't have the ability to take revenge. However, in a few years, once Luo Feng becomes a war god and becomes one of the upper echelons of the dojo of limit, it was easy for him to deal with a scion of the Wang clan. Compared to the dojo of limits, let alone the Wang family, even the entire HR alliance would have to lower their heads. Bastard, bastard, bastard! As soon as he returned to the hotel, Wang Xingping violently smashed all the bottles of good wine on the wine cabinet beside him. The expensive bottles of good wine were either smashed on the wall or on the ground. Pung! Puff! There was a shattering sound. Butler Unkelin, who was standing in the corner of the room, did not say a word. After venting his anger, Wang Xingping suddenly lay down on the sofa. "Unkelin, bring a pair of twin sisters over." Wang Xingping's eyes were cold like a wolf. Every time he meets some trouble, Wang Xingping wants to vent. "Young master," Butler Unkelin couldn't help but to say. "Don't worry, no one will die." Wang Xingping turned his head and coldly looked at Butler Unkelin. Under Wang Xingping's gaze, this butler didn't dare to say anything else. Yes, Butler Unkelin turned his head and left the room. Luo Feng only treated the last time he met Wang Xingping as a joke and forgot about it. In the next few days, Luo Feng spent most of his time on the 9-stage Thunderblade. Time flowed like water and quietly passed by. In the blink of an eye, it was already March 28th, the day Luo Feng leaves the headquarters city. March 28th, 1:30 p.m., Jiangnan Headquarters City Airport. "Feng, when you get there, take care of yourself," said Luo Hongwa seriously. "Got it, Dad." Luo Feng slightly smiled. Gong Xinlan's eyes were filled with tears as she pulled Luo Feng's hand. "Feng, take care of yourself." Actually, every time Luo Feng enters the wilderness, his family is always a bit worried. However, after a while, especially after living in a fighter sector like Mingyue sector, his parents understood. This is the path of a fighter. "Luo Feng, time to check in," War God Yang Hui's voice carried from afar. "Coming," responded Luo Feng. Luo Feng rubbed his brother's head and stared at his brother Luo Hua. "Luo Hua, when I'm not home, you have to help me take care of Mom and Dad." "Okay," Luo Hua nodded seriously. After that, Luo Feng looked at his parents and immediately ran towards the security checkpoint. Not far away, Yixia also said goodbye to his parents. After that, Luo Feng, Yixia, and War God Yang Hui passed through the security checkpoint. Under the watch of the Dojo of Limits chairman, Yixia's family, and Luo Feng's family, they quickly left through the tunnel. There was only one gigantic disc-shaped plane in the entire airport. Luo Feng and the others followed the tunnel and directly entered the plane. "Mr. Yang, your seat is the top-level first-class cabin," smiled the beautiful flight attendant. "Yes." Yang Hui nodded slightly and walked up the stairs to the top. This was Luo Feng and Yixia's first time sitting on such a large passenger plane, so they were both very curious. Luo Feng was the same as most people who sat on this plane for the first time, so he watched curiously. The interior of the plane looked dreamy. Because the plane was a flying saucer, the interior cabin was divided into the top, middle, and bottom floors. The top floor was a first-class cabin. The middle and bottom decks were both normal cabins. Round. The moment Luo Feng stepped into the top floor cabin, he realized that the entire cabin's walls were round. All the seats were arranged according to a ring, one ring after another. Naturally, the outermost ring had the most seat. At the center of the room, a 3D holographic projection appeared. E21. This was Luo Feng's seat. He, Yixia, and Yang Hui sat side by side. The other passengers also took their seat. Luo Feng, Yixia, this is your first time taking a plane, so the Dojo of Limits will take care of your expenses, said Yang Hui. If you take a plane next time, you'll have to pay for the plane tickets. China's large passenger planes from the 6 headquarter cities to our headquarters cost 10 million Chinese dollars per ticket for the normal cabins, and 20 million for the first-class cabins. Luo Feng sighed to himself. No wonder most rich people don't want to fly. It's already pretty good for some rich people who have over 100 million in assets. Spending 10 million on a plane? They probably wouldn't. How is this first-class cabin better than the normal cabins below? Yixia couldn't help but to ask. The width of the seats and how comfortable they are, laughed Yang Hui. I don't feel like the seats are that wide? Yixia couldn't help but to be curious. That's because you haven't tried how crowded the normal cabins are, laughed Yang Hui. You have to know that there are very few large passenger planes in the entire world. The cost to build and maintain each one is ridiculously high. Because there are so few of them, we naturally have to arrange as many seats as possible. So even though you can sit in the normal cabins, you won't be able to stretch your legs. Yixia blinked a few times. Luo Feng shook his head. Just because the seats are a bit more spacious, the price of the tickets is double. However, for the truly high-level people on Earth, 10 million and 20 million really don't make much of a difference. Rumble with a low sound, the passenger plane finally took off. However, this round cabin was completely sealed and didn't have any windows, so Luo Feng and the others couldn't see outside. In the spacious center of the cabin, a movie that had just been released and was quite famous was being shown. With the 3D holographic projection, the movie felt extremely realistic. If you want to watch the movie, then put on your headphones. If you don't want to watch, then rest. We'll arrive at the headquarters in around an hour. Yang Hui closed his eyes. After around an hour and 20 minutes, the passenger plane landed at the Dojo of Limits World Headquarters, Hong Ning Headquarter City's airport. After Luo Feng and the others left the airport, they directly took a private car. Inside the extended Cadillac, Luo Feng and Yixia looked outside through the window and were extremely shocked. The entire headquarter city was extremely beautiful. The architecture was completely copied from China's ancient architecture. Pavilions could be seen everywhere. During the Grand Nirvana period, the head brought a group of followers and built a simple human base on this piece of land, allowing many refugees to live here. As time passed, this Hong Ning headquarters city grew bigger and bigger. Smiled Yang Hui. Our Hong Ning headquarters city is located in the western part of Asia, quite close to Europe. Because of the head, Hong Ning headquarters city is the safest headquarters city in the entire world. Every year, many rich people and fighters join our headquarters city. However, the head always controls the headquarters city's population. Right now, the entire headquarters city's population is only around 80 million, smiled Yang Hui. If it weren't for the head's control, it would be normal for the population to reach 200 to 300 million. However, the quality of the population is important. Our Hong Ning headquarters city has the highest ratio of fighters in the entire world. Up until now, not a single emperor-level monster has dared to disturb our Hong Ning headquarters city. Yang Hui was extremely confident. Luo Feng and Yixia's eyes were filled with shock. There are a total of 5 great countries and 23 headquarters cities. Among them, Hong controls 1 headquarters city. Along with the astonishing power of the Dojo of Limits that he controls, the most important thing is his invincible strength. Hong is the undisputed number 1 person on Earth. Number 1 in power, number 1 in authority. We've arrived at the training camp, let's get off, said Yang Hui. This is the elite training camp. Yixia, come in and take a look. Work hard too, Maybe you'll have the chance to join us in the future. Okay, Yixia couldn't hide his excitement. Luo Feng and Yixia got off the car and entered the wide training camp gate with Yang Hui. Once they entered, they saw a gigantic dragon sculpture. A gigantic black dragon that was around 50 meters tall stared at Luo Feng with its gigantic eyes. The endless dark energy instantly pressured over, causing Luo Feng to suffocate. On the side, Yixia's face was also pale. Only after Yang Hui lightly yelled did Luo Feng and Yixia wake up. "It's just a sculpture and you're scared?" laughed Yang Hui. However, Luo Feng's forehead was filled with sweat. The pressure this dragon sculpture gave him was even more terrifying than that of the steel-armored dragon. On the black scales of this gigantic black dragon that was around 50 meters long, there were small displays. On each display was a name. Number 1 Renatus and Bridge, 530321, #2 Chuchong, 540601, #3 Ebenan Pass, 520916. Number 182 Jacqueline and Bernard, 570319. From top to bottom, there was a name on each scale, a total of 182 names. Yang Hui laughed on the side. This is the ranking. As of now, there are a total of 182 students in the elite training camp. They're all geniuses from all over the world. Based on their battle strength points, there will be a ranking. Luo Feng, if you pass the B-grade exam, work hard in the future and try your best to get a higher ranking. PS. Chapter 1 has ended. Chapter 113. This chapter should be changed to Consciousness Sensor. Sweat, the original name doesn't really fit. Ranking? Luo Feng looked at the names on the gigantic black dragon's scales and couldn't help but to ask, "What's the ranking for?" Yang Hui laughed as he looked at Luo Feng. "Do you think you can relax after entering the elite training camp and become one of the most powerful fighters in the world? What a joke. The competition in the elite training camp is much more intense than other places. The higher your ranking is, the more benefits you'll get. If it's a unique treasure from an archaeological ruin, who gets to use it? The higher your ranking is, the more resources you'll get. As for those who are ranked in the last 3 places, as long as they accumulate 3 times in the last 3 places, they will be eliminated," Yang Hui said. Luo Feng was shocked, since he didn't know that he would be eliminated after entering the elite training camp. "Don't ask any more. Once you pass the B-grade exam, you'll know a lot of the rules. If you don't pass the B-grade exam, there's no point in asking." Yang Hui raised his head and looked at the gigantic black dragon sculpture. "Haven't you guys realized what's special about this black dragon sculpture?" "Aura," said Yixia. "Aura," said Luo Feng. Before, they were all stunned by this black dragon sculpture. Being stared at by this sculpture was like being stared at by a monster even scarier than a high-level Horde leader's steel-armored dragon. Their hearts couldn't help but to tremble and feel fear. Even Luo Feng wasn't this scared when he saw the steel-armored dragon. This is actually a true SS grade, Emperor level, monster, a black dragon that was born from a volcano. After it was killed by the head left the 2 eyes of the black dragon and put them into this dragon sculpture. The materials used to make this black dragon sculpture are quite valuable. The most valuable part is naturally the eyes of a real black dragon. When it was first designed, this pair of dragon eyes stared at the entrance of the door. Therefore, people who have just entered the door will be shocked if they raise their heads and look at the eyes of the black dragon sculpture. Yang Hui smiled proudly. Just this pair of dragon eyes alone is worth more than 10 billion. Luo Feng and Yixia exchanged glances. God, he used the eyes of a real black dragon as part of a gigantic sculpture. How cruel! Follow me. Remember, don't run around, Yang Hui ordered. Yes. Luo Feng and Yixia carried their bags and followed Yang Hui. The entire training camp, although it was called a training camp, was actually beautiful. It was as if one had arrived at an ancient palace complex. There were all kinds of precious flowers and trees, as well as small bridges and flowing water. Apart from a few main palaces, there were many elegant pavilions. From time to time, youths wearing loose training clothes could be seen walking out of the pavilions. There were men and women among them. There were white people, black people, and yellow people. Look, those youths in the distance are official students of the elite training camp. Yang Hui pointed at a huge 9-story pagoda in the center of the training camp. Although the pagoda only had 9 stories, it was comparable to the height of an ordinary 20-story building. These students are all heading over there. That 9-story pagoda is called the 9-story floors. Yang Hui smiled. The 9-story building is where all students learn and train. Some special training rooms are also located there. In the training camp, apart from sleeping, almost all the students are in the 9-story building. Walking in the training camp, Luo Feng and Yixia were very well behaved. After all, they weren't members of the training camp. And with Luo Feng's eyesight, he could feel that every official student's eyes and aura were clearly different from the fighters outside. This was the gathering place of the world's most monstrous geniuses. There are 182 students, and every year 30 to 40 students graduate. So every year we also recruit 30 to 40 people. Yang Hui laughed as he walked, but 2/3 of these students are recruited from our Dojo of Limits basic training camp. Only 1/3 are recruited from all over the world. Luo Feng realized. No wonder 2/3 of the 30 or so people would be recruited from the basic training camp, so the remaining 1/3 would only be a little more than 10 people. So, Yixia, after you enter the basic training camp, you still have a chance to enter the elite training camp. However, the number of students in the basic training camp far exceeded that of the elite training camp. Therefore, the competition for the slots is very intense. You have to work hard in the future, Yang Hui said as he looked at Yixia. Understood. Yixia's eyes lit up. The basic training camp lasted 3 years, while the elite training camp lasted 5 years. Yixia, stay here for now and don't run around. I'll bring Luo Feng in to check in, said Yang Hui. It was a 2-story building, and even the furniture inside was of an ancient style. Because the headmaster is from Huaxia and is very fond of ancient Huaxia culture, the entire Hongning Bay city was built according to the ancient architectural style. Especially in this training camp, even the furniture is ancient, so you won't have a sofa or a TV, laughed Yang Hui. Luckily, the head is reasonable and gave everyone a laptop. Luo Feng was speechless. There wasn't even a TV, a washing machine, etc. Luckily, there were power outlets and lights. Just rest here. If you want to eat anything, just give a call and someone will bring it over, ordered Yang Hui. You better not run around today. Yang Hui instructed, it's best that you don't run around today. I'll bring you to the 9 floors at noon tomorrow to take the B rank test. Only after you pass the B grade exam will you officially become a member of the elite training camp. If you fail, you'll have to go to the basic training camp. Luo Feng nodded. Understood. Soon after, Yang Hui left. Only Luo Feng was left in this quiet building. He went to the study room on the 2nd floor and put down his bag. He walked to the balcony and looked at the entire training camp. This is the world's #1 training camp? It looks very peaceful and quiet. Luo Feng held the wooden railing with both hands as he admired the scenery of the training camp. Not far from the building was a flowing stream that led to a lake in the distance. Hey Chinese? Standard Chinese carried from afar. Luo Feng turned his head and looked down. He saw a yellow-skinned youth wearing a white dojo uniform. He had thick eyebrows and big eyes. He was holding a metal spear as he smiled and greeted Luo Feng. Yep, answered Luo Feng. My name is Tian Qiong, the yellow-skinned youth smiled as he greeted. I'm from the northeast headquarters city. My name is Luo Feng. I'm from Jiangnan headquarters city, laughed Luo Feng. The youth named Tian Qiong laughed. Seeing that you live here, you should be here to take the entrance exam, right? Work hard. There are quite a few Chinese here. After you enter the training camp, let's meet up. After saying that, Tianqiong walked towards the 9 grand floors with his metal spear in his hand. As he walked, he waved his metal spear. Piu! The sound of the spear piercing through the air was terrifying. Luo Feng, who was on the balcony, couldn't help but to change his expression. This guy's spear technique is way better than Zhang Ke's. As of now, Luo Feng's eyesight is extremely high. However, when that youth named Tianqiong casually stabbed, it felt as if the surrounding air started to swirl and gather at the tip of his spear. Even though I named my blade technique Thunderbolt, I've only scratched the surface. Compared to him, I'm still far from it. Luo Feng had no more arrogance. A random student who popped out of nowhere had obviously reached a higher realm in spear arts than him in saber arts. Luo Feng was startled. Those who can enter this training camp are the most monstrous geniuses in the entire world. Whether it's from the basics training camp, receiving 3 years of training, or competing against a large number of geniuses to enter the elite training camp. Or more than 10 fighters are recruited from all over the world every year. All of them are dragons and phoenixes among men. I have to stand firm in this elite training camp. Otherwise, how can I fight against the 2 advanced level war gods, Vulture and Scorpion? Of course, I have to pass the B-grade exam first. Luo Feng continued to train his genetic energy in the pagoda. After that, he had a good night's sleep. Even though he hasn't entered the elite training camp yet, the Black Dragon sculpture's ranking of 182 and Tianqiong casually stabbing his spear technique made Luo Feng feel. In the future, there will definitely be a fierce battle in the elite training camp. 11 p.m. Luo Feng ate a sumptuous lunch. All the way until 11:50 p.m., War God Yang Hui appeared. The weather today isn't too good. It's already noon and the sky is already dark. Looks like there's going to be a storm. Yang Hui walked in and smiled as he looked at the table in the living room. Not bad, such a good appetite. Get ready, come with me to the 9 grand floors. Do I need to prepare anything? Weapons? Battle uniform? Asked Luo Feng. No need, just come with me empty-handed, said Yang Hui. Together with Yang Hui, they walked towards the 9 grand floors. Each floor of the 9 grand floors was around 6 meters tall, and the 9 grand floors were all over 150 meters in length and width. It was definitely a gigantic tower. The outside of the tower looked very classical, but the inside was definitely technological. The ground was made of hard alloy, and one could easily hear the sound of explosions and yelling. Go to the 9th floor. Yang Hui and Luo Feng entered the elevator. The elevator was very fast. Ding! When the elevator door opened, they arrived at the highest floor of the 9 grand floors. The 9th floor was a spacious lobby. There were some mats in the lobby, and some young men and women were casually sitting there chatting. Some were speaking in English, some were speaking in French, and some were speaking in Chinese. When Luo Feng arrived, quite a few people looked towards him. Brother, you're Chinese? Chinese, Luo Feng smiled as he nodded. Good luck. Come in, we'll have one more Chinese, laughed a bald youth as he yelled. Stop dreaming, said a black girl awkwardly. A black girl with a butterfly tattoo on her face said awkwardly in Mandarin. She glanced at Luo Feng and sneered. Luo Feng, under Yang Hui's guidance, arrived at the innermost part of the lobby. There was a tunnel here, and on both sides of the tunnel were large rooms. Soon enough, Luo Feng was brought to the innermost room. This room wasn't very big, and it was even a bit dark. Pa! The lights were turned on. There were only 2 sofas in the room, and on each sofa was a dark blue helmet. These 2 helmets were created by our human scientists after spending quite a bit of effort. They're modeled after the consciousness sensors of the virtual space equipment excavated from the archaeological ruins, said Yang Hui as he pointed at the helmet. We can only make these simple consciousness sensors. Yang Hui pointed at the helmet and said, we can only imitate this simple consciousness sensor. As for the host of the virtual space, it's still that ancient machine that has been sleeping underground for who knows how many years. Luo Feng stared at the helmet, Virtual space? That's too scary. This is something that only exists in science fiction. However, according to what Yang Hui said, humans can only create the consciousness sensors. As for the virtual space equipment, they can't create it at all. And it's just an old guy excavated from the archaeological ruins. Human scientists can't understand the virtual space equipment at all, so don't even mention copying it, said Yang Hui as he shook his head. Yeah, when you put it on, your consciousness will enter a virtual space with 100% realism. It's exactly the same as the real world, said Yang Hui. After you enter the virtual space, we'll let you enter the Tower of Trials to take the B-grade exam. P.S. 2 chapters completed. My monthly votes dropped to number 4. Chapter 114. Me, put it on? Luo Feng nervously picked up one of the dark blue helmets and looked towards Yang Hui with confusion. Mr. Yang, I'll just put it on like this? Learn from me. Yang Hui smiled and then sat down on the sofa. You lie on the sofa too. Luo Feng obediently laid down. The sofa was extremely comfortable, perfect for one person to lie on. Yang Hui emphasized, when you put on the helmet, your consciousness will enter the virtual space, so don't panic. Come, put on the helmet. Under Yang Hui's gaze, Luo Feng took a deep breath and put on the helmet. Virtual space? It's only been described in sci-fi novels, but this is his first time experiencing it. The moment he put on the helmet, Luo Feng felt his head buzz. Yang Hui smiled and put on the helmet after seeing Luo Feng put on the helmet. It was a vast expanse of silver land. 2 silhouettes appeared on the ground one after the other, Luo Feng and Yang Hui. So mysterious, this is the virtual space? Luo Feng looked around. The sky of this virtual space was actually the universe. There were millions of stars in the boundless night sky, causing the entire silver land to emit a dreamy light. This silver land? It's as smooth as a mirror. Luo Feng squatted down in shock and tapped the ground with his finger, making a metallic clang-clang sound. Luo Feng, in this Tower of Trials virtual space, the sky is the universe. The ground is the silver land. The material of this silver land is similar to an alloy. Yang Hui smiled as he pointed into the distance, and the only building you can see in this entire virtual space is that 7-level Tower of Trials. It's also the place where you'll be tested. Indeed, look all around. There was only one building. Around 300 to 400 meters away, there was a gigantic tower that pierced through the clouds. The entire tower was covered in carvings of all sorts of monsters that surrounded the entire tower. With the naked eye, one could faintly tell that this tower had 7 levels. I'll be taking the B-grade test there? Luo Feng's heart skipped a beat as he tried to use his spiritual force. How come there's no spiritual force? He couldn't feel any spiritual force at all. Not good. Luo Feng's body slightly jumped a few times as he punched and kicked. Something seems to be wrong with my body, Mr. Yang. Why do I feel like my body is different from before? Luo Feng couldn't help but ask. Yang Hui laughed and pointed at the sky and the ground. Where are we? This was a virtual space. Only our consciousness can enter. Our physical bodies, weapons, and so on can't enter. Only consciousness can enter. Luo Feng was shocked, thinking to himself, which means anything other than consciousness can't enter. My telekinesis didn't enter either. This is troublesome. Without telekinesis, I'm afraid my strength is only a small part of what it used to be. Can I pass this B-rank test? Yang Hui continued. Luo Feng, no matter who it is, they can only enter the virtual space with their consciousness. And the virtual space is to equip us with a virtual body. Our current bodies, our physical attributes are the same, Yang Hui said. Same. Luo Feng was shocked. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's a war god, an existence surpassing the war god level, a normal fighter, or even a normal person. After the consciousness comes in, it will have a body with the same physical qualities. Normal fist strength of 10,000 kilograms, speed of 150 meters per second, nerve reaction speed, superior beginner warlord level. Luo Feng was stunned. Everyone has the same physical qualities when they enter the virtual space? Because everyone's physical qualities are the same in the virtual space. Even the head, Hong, has a body like this when he enters the virtual space. This way, it's easy to test a person's true battle strength. Yang Hui looked at Luo Feng. Follow me to the Tower of Trials. What else can he do? In the virtual space, everyone is equal. No matter how strong your body is in the real world, it's the same in the virtual space. The Tower of Trials pierced through the clouds and was incomparably huge. Luo Feng and Yang Hui stood at the entrance like two ants. Look at that stone pillar. Yang Hui pointed at a black stone pillar on the left of the Tower of Trials entrance. An engraving actually appeared on the black stone pillar. Name: Luo Feng. Gender: male. Identity: Elite Training Camp Preparatory Student. Tower of Trials Level 1. Luo Feng turned his head and looked at the black stone pillar on the right of the Tower of Trials entrance. An engraving also appeared on the black stone pillar. Name: Yang Hui. Gender: male. Identity: Wargod. Tower of Trials Level 3. 2. Luo Feng was shocked. His Tower of Trials level was 1, and War God Yang Hui's Tower of Trials level was 3. 2. What exactly is the Tower of Trials level? Luo Feng, are you curious about the Tower of Trials level? Yang Hui laughed. For example, you and I use the same body and enter the Tower of Trials step by step. After passing the first level, you directly enter the second level. At this time, your Tower of Trials level is 2. 0. When you pass the third level, your Tower of Trials level is 3. 0. When you pass the third level, your Tower of Trials level is 3. 1. 3. 2. 3. 3. All of them are possible. And you haven't done it yet, so you're only at the original one, which means that you haven't accomplished anything in the first level of the Tower of Trials. Luo Feng was shocked. War God Yang Hui is already so old, so of course he has plenty of battle experience. Who would have thought that he would only be able to pass the third level? There are a total of 7 levels in the Tower of Trials. Not a single person has made it to the 7th level yet. Yang Hui laughed as he looked at Luo Feng. Not a single one? Luo Feng froze. What about the strongest fighter on Earth, Hong? And the second strongest fighter, Thunder God? Yeah, not a single one. The strongest fighter on Earth, Hong, has already made it to the 6th level. He's the strongest on Earth. Yang Hui shook his head and sighed. This is the difference. Even if we use the same body as the dojo master, we will not be able to defeat him. I can only make it to the 3rd level, but dojo master made it to the 6th level. Luo Feng raised his head and looked at the 7-level Tower of Trials. Who would have thought that none of the powerhouses on Earth had made it to the 7th level? Suddenly, Luo Feng, please choose your battle uniform and weapon. After choosing, you will enter the Tower of Trials within 1 minute to accept the B-grade exam. Suddenly, an electronic voice resounded throughout the entire virtual space. Battle uniforms and weapons immediately appeared in front of Luo Feng's eyes. Without caring too much, he immediately chose a battle uniform, a ghost blade, and a hexagonal shield that fit his body size. After that, the battle uniform, ghost blade, and shield immediately landed on the ground and Luo Feng quickly put them on. He could run at a speed of 150 meters per second, and he was terrifyingly fast in his combat uniform. A mirage flashed, and in less than 10 seconds, he was done. Luo Feng, I wish you success. Yang Hui smiled. This B-rank test is the medium difficulty test of the first floor of the Tower of Trials. Even though it's only the first floor, there are a few dozen members of the elite training camp who are still on the first floor. Okay, Luo Feng took in a deep breath and directly walked into the pitch-black entrance in front of him. Who? As if space had changed, Luo Feng instantly entered a vast prairie. Luo Feng, the electronic voice resounded throughout the prairie. The B-grade exam is to kill 100 low-level commander-level raging bulls that are surrounding you within 30 minutes. If you die during this time, you fail. If you don't kill 100 raging bulls after 30 minutes, you fail. This is your first time entering the Tower of Trials, so you have 5 minutes to prepare. Luo Feng's face changed greatly. 100 raging bulls, and they're all low-level commander level? Luo Feng was completely shocked. Even though the monster hordes he usually meets are scary, most of them are soldier-level monsters. Commander-level monsters are extremely rare. However, he didn't think that he would be surrounded by 100 raging bulls in this B-grade exam, and they're all low-level commander-level monsters. Since they're all low-level commander-level monsters, then any raging bull's strength and speed are on par with his. 100 raging bulls that are on par with Luo Feng ganging up on Luo Feng, and Luo Feng has to kill all 100 of them by himself in 30 minutes? Sick! The first floor is already this sick. No wonder a few dozen of the 182 official members of the elite training camp are still on the first floor. Luo Feng could completely imagine how sick the second, third, and fourth floors are. And Hong is using the exact same body as him, yet he was able to make it to the 6th floor. This is already unbelievable. Not bad, my body in the real world is pretty close to this virtual body's fitness level. I'm pretty used to it. Luo Feng moved around a bit and swiftly dodged, moved horizontally, and swung his ghost blade to get used to this body. 5 minutes passed quickly. B-grade exam, begin. The electronic voice was like thunder as it resounded throughout the entire prairie world. At the same time, a strong bull-type monster that was around 3 meters tall appeared 100 meters ahead of him. Among the bull-type monsters, they're famous for living in groups. Raging bulls. It had long fur, a pair of curved and sharp horns, and a pair of red eyes. An entire 100 raging bulls. Each of their horns carried a faint red color, as if they were stained with blood. When their sharp horns pierced Luo Feng's body, even if they couldn't pierce through his battle uniform, Luo Feng's bones would probably break and his organs would bleed. Every single one of them was a threat. Following the roars of the bulls that resounded throughout the prairie, rumble, 100 low-level commander-level raging bulls charged towards Luo Feng with their red eyes and white gas coming out of their nostrils. The ground of the prairie slightly trembled. Other than that time at the Carrefour supermarket, I've never faced so many low-level commander-level monsters at once. Luo Feng wasn't confident either. No wonder this B-grade exam is used to test the best geniuses on Earth. As expected, it's ridiculously difficult. If he had spiritual force, he would still be confident. But if he doesn't? I can only risk it. There are a few dozen people in the elite training camp that are still on the first floor, which means that over 100 people have passed the first floor. I don't believe that I can't pass it. Luo Feng clenched his teeth. He's already in this situation, what else can he do? Risk it. 100 raging bulls that were bigger than tanks charged forward. Rumble, the earth shook. The 100-meter distance between the two sides was crossed in the blink of an eye by the low-level commander-level raging bulls. Like a tsunami, the endless raging bulls instantly drowned Luo Feng. P.S. Chapter 1 here. Chapter 1:15. Luo Feng didn't move as he faced the charging raging bulls. He held his hexagonal shield in one hand and his ghost blade in the other as he calmly stood in place. Rumble, the smell of the raging bull's breath permeated over. The first raging bull at the very front of the herd finally charged in front of Luo Feng. Luo Feng, who's been through who knows how many beast hordes, is extremely experienced. With just a nimble sidestep, the ghost blade flashed. 9-stage Thunderblade 2nd stage, 2. 1x strength burst forth. Blood sprayed out from the neck of the first raging bull. 1. Luo Feng's gaze was cold and extremely calm. He was very clear that in front of a monster horde, especially when every single one of them is a threat to him. He definitely can't panic. Raging bulls are quite large, much larger than a regular iron fur boar. Like a tank. Because of their large bodies, only a few of them can attack me at the same time. Luo Feng was clear that he had to use the bodies of these raging bulls to block the attack. He had to find an opening to maneuver around. Time passed by minute. Luo Feng's technique was definitely at the Ru Wei level, so his dodging within the raging bulls was extremely exquisite. Luckily, Luo Feng had plenty of experience fighting against monster hordes. If he didn't have any experience, then it would be really troublesome for him to fight against 100 low-level commander-level monsters. Other than that, Luo Feng's 9-stage Thunderblade was trained to the 3rd stage, which gave him the ability to kill a raging bull in one hit. 313233. Raging bulls were either leaping or charging. Luo Feng was like a leaf as he dodged the blades with great difficulty. Not good. A sharp horn grazed Luo Feng's face. At the same time, a raging bull's corpse behind Luo Feng was rammed by a raging bull that was still alive, which affected Luo Feng's space to retreat. Just this small error caused the raging bulls to instantly surround Luo Feng from all directions. He was in a situation where he would definitely die. Pung! In an instant, Luo Feng was like a raging bull. His left arm was equipped with a hexagonal shield as he forcefully rammed into a raging bull that was charging towards him from the left. Rumble! The strong impact caused Luo Feng's left arm to go completely numb. His body couldn't help but be pushed backwards. Pooh! The strong impact caused him to spit out a mouthful of fresh blood. At the same time he retreated, Luo Feng's footwork strangely changed the distance between his step. At the same time, a cold blade light flashed. Puff! The saber slashed across the hoof of a wild bull that was pouncing towards him like a bolt of lightning. The moment the hoof fell, Luo Feng charged forward like lightning. As he charged forward, he used the back of his ghost blade to hit the hoof. The hoof of the bull was like a cannonball as it smashed towards the raging bull behind Luo Feng. It was a dazzling and desperate struggle. Keep in mind that each raging bull's speed exceeded 100 meters per second. Within a 10-meter radius, Luo Feng injured 3 raging bulls and killed 5 in a short 0.8 seconds. He was seriously injured and vomited blood, but he had still survived the dangerous situation just now. Although my saber art's most powerful strike is very powerful, it's still very powerful. When facing a group attack, I can't unleash multiple strikes at the same time. In the past, Luo Feng always chased after the most powerful strike. However, the stronger the strike, the longer it takes for him to pull it back. If Luo Feng could unleash 10 strikes in the blink of an eye and kill 10 raging bulls around him. If his blade's speed was this fast, then he wouldn't even need to rely on his Ru Wei level technique to dodge. He could just go on a killing spree. However, when facing raging bulls with speeds over 100 meters per second, killing 10 raging bulls in the blink of an eye requires too much control over his blade's strength. Pooh! Pooh! Luo Feng didn't dare to relax at all and repeat the same mistake as before. Actually, ever since he escaped from number 003 City's Carrefour supermarket in 1.2 seconds, Luo Feng has experienced the perfect level technique multiple times. He can make the most effective use of any object in his surroundings. He and the environment have become one. Just like this. Since every raging bull was a low-level commander, this unprecedented pressure made Luo Feng feel like he was one with the environment when he killed 70 raging bulls. At this moment, the surrounding raging bull corpses and even the surrounding grass gave Luo Feng an incomparably familiar feeling. He didn't need to use his brain to think and instinctively use every raging bull's corpse or even its parts. Incomparably easy. Pu. 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 As a bull's head flew up, fresh blood spurted out. Used 21 minutes and 18 seconds to kill all 100 raging bulls. Be great exam, passed. Congratulations, student Luo Feng, a godlike electronic voice echoed in the sky above the entire grass plain. Only now did Luo Feng wake up from that feeling. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. How come it's gone at the crucial moment? Give me more raging bulls. Luo Feng has learned the 9-stage Thunderblade, and the 9-stage Thunderblade has a technique flowing light, so he knows very well that when training his technique. How hard is it to go from the Ru Wei level to the perfect level? Many times before, Luo Feng used his spiritual force to sense his surroundings. Only then did he occasionally feel the perfect level technique. And this time, because he was in the virtual space, he didn't have any spiritual force. Unlike the monster hordes in the real world, most of them are soldier-level monsters. Every single one of these monster hordes in the virtual space is a threat to him. So, Luo Feng squeezed himself to the limit. He unknowingly stepped into the perfect level. The longer he maintains that state, the easier it will be for him to truly step into the perfect level. Sadly, Luo Feng only maintained that state for a short while. Killing the last 30 raging bulls didn't take more than 5 minutes. The exam ended and Luo Feng came out from that state. Student Luo Feng, you will automatically leave the virtual space in 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Elite Training Camp, 9th floor of the 9 grand floors. When Yang Hui and Luo Feng laughed as they walked out of the training room, the geniuses of all skin colors from all over the world looked over with shock in the spacious lobby of the 9th floor. A yellow-skinned youth even asked, "Teacher, did he pass the exam?" "He passed," laughed Yang Hui. "I'll take him to do the procedures. It's almost 1 p.m. You guys can begin the exam now." Suddenly, the 10 or so people in the spacious lobby either chatted with Luo Feng or discussed with each other. After leaving the 9 grand floors, the originally cloudy sky started raining heavily. Luo Feng and Yang Hui walked out with umbrellas. Even though there are only 180 students here, there are the 5 great countries of the world secretly involved. There are also the families of the HR Alliance, etc. "The water here is very deep," said Yang Hui seriously. "Luo Feng, you'll become a member of the elite training camp. As long as you don't get eliminated, your future will be bright. In the training camp, the government, army, special organizations, and families of the HR Alliance will try to rope you in. Maybe you'll be tempted by money, women, and power. However, you have to remember, the most important thing is your strength. Don't mind those temptations too much. Right now, your goal is to charge towards a higher ranking in the training camp. Including you, there are a total of 183 students. All of them are geniuses. What you have to do is to trample others underfoot and stand higher yourself," Yang Hui said solemnly. Luo Feng nodded. "What code name are you going to choose?" said Yang Hui. "Today is March 29th, so you officially joined the training camp on April 1st, 2057. So, the first 4 numbers of your code name must be 5704. As for the last 2 numbers, since you're the only one joining in April, you can choose any 2 numbers you want," Luo Feng suddenly understood. No wonder every person's name on the huge black dragon carving had a code name behind it. Last time he saw the number 1 and 0. 1 Renatus and Bridge, 530321. Looks like this person entered the training camp on March 3, 2053. Up until now, he's been in the training camp for a full 4 years. "What do you choose for the last 2 numbers?" asked Yang Hui. 03" answered Luo Feng. A series of troubles arose from stealing a dragon egg in number 003 city, and a portion of the elixir of life costs 30 billion. Luo Feng and the number 3 are fated. 03. Yang Hui nodded. "Your student code name is 570403. The other procedures will be done soon, ********* on the Black Dragon ranking list of the world's number 1 training camp. The 183rd name appeared on that day, and 183 Luo Feng, 570403. This news almost instantly spread to the 5 great countries and all the headquarter cities. A few special departments of the government, the 9 core families of the HR Alliance, and dozens of important families all received this news. And on that day, every single organization received a detailed report on Luo Feng, from when Luo Feng was born and lived in a cheap rental housing sector. His family, etc., were all recorded. Huaxia, Kyoto Bay City, in a building built underground. 3rd floor underground. In an elegantly decorated office, a skinny man wearing a loose dojo uniform lightly tapped the table with one hand and flipped through Luo Feng's information with the other. Send an order to the Jiangnan headquarters city division. Send people to watch Luo Feng's family 24 hours a day. 1. Make sure Luo Feng's family never leaves Jiangnan headquarters city. 2. Make sure Luo Feng's family is safe. We definitely can't allow what happened last time to happen again. The skinny man had a mole on his chin and his gaze was cold. Yes, the various countries' armies, special organizations, financial groups, etc., all had their own plans to deal with Luo Feng, who just entered the elite training camp. At the same time, as the HR Alliance's Huaxia region CEO, Vanina Paulinus, naturally received this information almost immediately. Jiangnan Shanshui District, Huayao Peak Villa. Vanina, isn't this Luo Feng one of our many suspects? As soon as he flipped through the first page, Vulture Li Yao immediately thought of the unremarkable Luo Feng among the many suspects. Yes, when Ah Wei died, he was closer to Ah Wei. Vanina shook her head and said, but he's only 19 years old this year, and he's only a beginner warlord. The family is still trying to figure out a way to get this Luo Feng to work for our Paulinus family. How did he get into the elite training camp? Is it because he's a spirit reader? A cold light flashed in Li Yao's eyes. No, you'll know after you read it. Vanina shook her head. Yao, I think you're being paranoid when it comes to finding the murderer. You suspect everyone. P.S. 2 chapters completed.